Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Zombie Nationwide. You are asked to eat people, and you create a forbidden spell. Chapter 51. Danger. The danger that could almost threaten him appeared in Lao Chi's mind at this time. Lao Chi suddenly let go of Shen Qing's hand and looked at him with a slightly stiff head. Then, rub rub rub, 3 steps in a row. Lao Chi looked frightened, and his thin fingers pointed behind him tremblingly. There, the huge head was lying on the ground, and its animal eyes, which were bigger than Lao Chi, were staring straight at him. Shivered. Lao Chi was shocked. What the hell? Alien zombie beast king, I and you, are you having fun? Lao Chi had deliberately lowered his voice, but even so, the sound coming from his trembling mouth was still loud. Even Lao Chi, who seemed very stable in the past, couldn't help but curse a few times at this time. Hiss. Air conditioning sucked in, swallowing saliva. Lao Chi's old eyes stared straight at the Beast King, a mutant zombie nearly 10 meters in size. After a moment, Lao Chi calmed down, took a long breath, tried his best to suppress the shock in his heart and asked, "Is this your pet?" Shen Qing nodded, his expression pretending to be embarrassed. "Yeah. It's the mastiff from before." Hearing this, Lao Chi felt relieved. After all, although his Lao Chi strength is not low, he can easily deal with high-level executors. But this is a mutant zombie beast king. Moreover, just now, without his knowledge, he was lying behind him, staring at him with a pair of eyes. That feeling, thinking back on it again, I couldn't help but send shivers down Lao Chi's spine. If this alien zombie beast king wanted to kill me, I'd probably be dead just now. Closing square bracket. His eyes shifted from the alien zombie beast king to Shen Qing. Lao Chi, where did you get such a monster? Shen Qing's expression remained unchanged. I picked it up. Lao Chi, @#@#. Do ghosts believe you? Did you pick it up? Why don't you pick up another one for me? Lao Chi lost his temper. After all, Shen Qing's response was such that he had to lose his composure. Alien zombie beast king. That is a zombie beast that is completely comparable to a high-level executor. You specifically told me to pick it up. Even if you're trying to coax a fool, you wouldn't coax like this, right? However, Shen Qing nodded very seriously and did not answer Lao Chi's doubts. Instead, he asked, "Senior Chi, do you think I can rescue Sister Hong and the others?" Lao Chi, okay, before, you used the excuse of picking it up to deal with me, but now it's better, you don't even bother to deal with it. Closing square bracket. Although I complained in my heart. But it was also the first time that Lao Chi began to re-examine the junior bloodline zombie in front of him. Holding his chin, he circled Shen Qing twice. Lao Chi nodded silently and said, "Weird. It's really strange. You kid obviously has no strength at all. You're just a useless junior bloodline zombie. But why, there happens to be a mutant zombie beast king next to me. Something is wrong. There is something 100% wrong out of 10. The words fell. Lao Chi's eyes turned to the mastiff. At this time, the mastiff was lying on the ground quietly, its eyes lazily looking towards Shen Qing. This time when Lao Chi spoke again, he still had a serious look on his face. The alien zombie beast king is certainly powerful. But you should also know that relying on it alone to break into the zombie army cell where Hongyu and the others are detained is simply wishful thinking. Although the overall quality of the zombie army in Area 65 is not as good as ours in Area 77, it cannot be shaken by a mutant zombie beast king. With that said, Lao Chi turned to Shen Qing and said, "So, if this is your secret method, I think you should give up this idea. Of course, if you want to go to the earthly world, I can take you there. If you join our District 77, I will give you a very good position there. But the premise is that this alien zombie beast king not only needs to assist us in fighting, but also needs to be available to us for research unconditionally." Shen Qing, really, this old guy didn't hold his shit in well. Not to mention it's a loss, but any transaction that doesn't make a profit is a big loss in this old guy's eyesight. It makes sense to let the alien zombie beast king fight together. Can it be provided to Area 77 for research unconditionally? This is a good thing to say. If they need to kill the mastiff, then study the body. So does Shen Qing also have to agree? Somehow. Shen Qing suddenly discovered that this Lao Chi always liked to play some word games. Hong Yu was able to make so many profits in the first place, probably because of Lao Chi's deceptive mouth. Shen Qing thought for a moment, shook his head and said, "No. I won't go out until Sister Hong goes to the earthly world. She is my companion, and it is Sister Hong who brought me from the grassroots level to now. I still have the conscience I should have. If you can't help me, I'll have to go myself." Shen Qing answered firmly, and there was no doubt in his tone. Lao Chi naturally heard it. Immediately, he frowned and said, "Shen Qing. We zombies have to look forward. If you don't come back to Area 77 with me, I think you little guy will have to stay in the underground city of Area 65 for the rest of your life. In the future, I might even become a coolie in rebuilding the underground city. Do you want to think about it again?" The same rhetoric used against Hong Yu was now used by Lao Chi on Shen Qing. However, Shen Qing waved her hand decisively. "Senior Qi, I only have one question now. Where is Sister Hong being held? Do you know?" Lao Chi smacked his lips slightly, looking a little unhappy from his expression. But in the end he sighed, pointed in one direction and said, "The far right side of the ladder of life is the zombie army's cage in the underground city. I think they should be there. But Shen Qing, I still advise you, the zombie army is not." Lao Chi also planned to continue persuading. However, before he finished speaking, Shen Qing slipped away. The huge mastiff has once again returned to its normal appearance. He followed Shen Qing nonchalantly. Looking at the zombies and beasts, Lao Chi sighed with regret. Alas, it seems that this boy is a stubborn man and will never look back until he hits the wall. Forget it, follow and take a look. If there's any danger, I might as well help trick his mastiff over. The words fell. Lao Chi also quickly followed. The ladder of life is on the far right. There are many rocks, and some very hard stalactites can be seen all around. And at the end of this relatively empty area, that's the cage where all the guilty zombies in Area 65 are kept. Hong Yu followed the guarding zombie army and walked in a familiar way. Not long after, she, Bai Wuhua and other zombies were locked in 4 cages. "Wait until the guarding zombie army leaves." Bai Wuhua cried sadly, "Sister Hong. You should think of a way, Xiao Qingzi is still outside." Gao Xiaoxiao looked around, feeling a little anxious. On the contrary, Hong Yu and Lao Mu closed their eyes in nurturing spirit, so calm that Bai Wuhua wanted to vomit blood. Moment, Hong Yu opened her eyes, with a hint of complexity in her eyes. "Shen Qing, ah Shen Qing. Closing square bracket. You kid, please don't be impulsive. Closing square bracket." Perhaps because of this period of contact, Hong Yu felt uneasy in her heart. She always feels that guy Shen Qing might break into the zombie army's prison because of them. Sighing, Hong Yu had nothing to do about it. "I can only pray secretly in my heart. Shen Qing, the zombie army cage is far beyond your imagination. You guy, please don't be impulsive." The earthly world. In a Fissioner camp, a shadow with a cold expression walked in, dragging a headless corpse. The 2 junior Fissioners guarding the gate of the camp watched this scene quietly. Their instructions that were supposed to attack zombies turned out to be in vain when faced with the shadows and the others. Soon, inside the huge building deep in the Fissioner camp, Shadow threw Chi-Chi's body to the ground and knelt down on one knee. "Boss, Chi-Chi was beheaded." As the Shadow's voice fell, an old voice slowly rose in the darkness. "There's no need to ask the boss about this kind of thing. Just go ahead and throw Chi-Chi onto the medical table." After hearing this, Shadow stood up and dragged Chi-Chi's body again, turned around and planned to leave. However, just at this time, the old voice came again. "Etc. The boss has something to ask you." As soon as the old voice fell, another voice rose. However, this voice sounded surprisingly childish, like a very young zombie. "Shadow, how did Chi-Chi die?" Shadow knelt down on one knee again. "I don't know, he took Shen Qing to the ladder of life and was attacked." "Boss, looking at the wounds, the opponent's strength far exceeds Chi-Chi. I'm afraid you have encountered a tough problem. First throw Chi-Chi on the medical table, and then I need you to describe all your experiences today, word for word. Go, Shadow." "Yes." Wait for the Shadow to leave. Only then did the old and young voices come out again. "Old Long, do you think Chi-Chi's death was caused by the zombie army?" "Sir, I don't think it's possible. Chi-Chi is an apex-level bloodline zombie, and his bloodline awakening value reaches 59%. Under normal circumstances, she may not die even if she meets He Junwang. I'm afraid there are new zombies coming to help. Tisk, it's really troublesome. Isn't it just a low-level bloodline zombie? Is it necessary to create such a big battle? Old Long, if Shen Qing can't be brought back this time, how will we proceed with our plan? Sir, we can discuss the matter of Shen Qing in the long term. Right now, the most important thing is to use zombie apes to test the control of middle-level fissioners. Our people have found a camp with middle-level enforcers near Energy City. All subordinates are waiting for your orders. Fine. Let Little Eyes take the zombies, please pay attention to safety. Alas, it's a pity that the operation in Area 65 failed this time. Originally, I wanted to study Shen Qing, a junior bloodline zombie, but I happened to have a mutant zombie, Beast King. What a strange and interesting guy. It didn't take long. In the camp, two zombies, Chi-Chi and Shadow, appeared. The two zombies knelt down on one knee at the same time. Chi-Chi cried slightly. Boss, I was bullied by zombies. Boss, tell me what happened. Who attacked you? If there were any zombies who knew about this, they would be shocked by this scene. Only because Chi-Chi, whose head was originally chopped off, now appears here intact. For zombies, no matter how strong a zombie is, it is almost impossible to survive as long as its head is chopped off. Now, Chi-Chi's resurrection obviously contains a secret. In the hands of the new humans, they have technological means that are completely beyond the zombie army. Chi-Chi, I don't know the other party's identity very well, but I guess that zombie might be Shen Qing's father. Hear the words. Suspicious sounds came from the darkness. Boss, are you talking about Shen Ming, the former commander of the 1st Brigade of the Zombie Army in Area 65, known as codename Mio? This moment, it is not difficult to hear that there is a hint of trembling in the voice of the new human boss. I don't know if this trembling is excitement or fear. Chi-Chi lowered her head and said, maybe, I don't know. He said at the time that he was just an unqualified father who failed to fulfill his father's responsibilities. That's why I guessed that this zombie might be codenamed Mio. Okay, I get it. You go back to recuperate. Although the medical station can reattach his head, your bloodline characteristics will not be available for a short period of time. You just stay in the camp quietly these days. As for whether the other party is codenamed Mio, I will send zombies to investigate this matter. Next, Chi-Chi and Shadow narrated everything they experienced in Area 65 in detail. After the narrative was finished, the two zombies left. After Chi-Chi and the others left, the old and young voices came out again. Old Long, what if the other party is codenamed Mio? My lord, even if it is him, I can kill him. What happened to the codename Mio? If the title is useful, then I will be called that by other zombies. It's at the top of the clouds. Area 65 Underground City. Inside the zombie army cage. Hong Yubin was still nurturing Spirit with her eyes closed, worried in her heart whether Shen Qing would do something impulsive or reckless. The next second, uninvited guests are coming. Hee. Hong, do you have this day too? Wang Yu's gloating expression came into view. She wished Hong Yu would be executed by the zombie army now. Hong Yu didn't open her eyes, she just had a look of disgust on her face and said, I thought it was Lao Bai who pulled his pants. I didn't expect that a thing like you would come here. Alas, Area 65 fell, why didn't you die? What a pity. Boom, hear the words. Wang Yu was furious and punched the hard cage. If eyes could kill, Hong Yu would have been killed by her no less than 100 times. Red Moon, Wang Yu said angrily, don't you look at your situation. Let me tell you, the awakening value of the members of the Eastern Excavation Group has increased unknownly, coupled with the sudden appearance of the executor. The high-level executor happened to be hit by you before contacting us. Your Eastern Excavation team is now completely finished. And you, Hong Yu, will also be executed by the zombie army. Hong Yu's face was still watery, her eyes closed. Oh. Good, Wang Yu, you will die soon. Ha 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 ha. Hong Yu. Yeah, congratulations, Wang Yu. No matter how many vicious words he said in his heart, they were all stuck in Wang Yu's throat at this moment, and he couldn't say even a single word. But looking at Hong Yu's old god, She didn't care about the current situation. Wang Yu gritted his teeth angrily. In the end, all the anger turned into a hum in her mouth. HMPH. You're done. Finished. Wang Yu walked angrily outside the zombie army's cage. At this time, Wang Yu felt extremely aggrieved. They obviously came here to have fun, but why did they end up getting angry again? However, Wang Yu had just walked a few steps. Roar. Sudden, a harsh beast roar resounded loudly outside the entire zombie army's prison. The sound was so loud that Wang Yu felt a sting in his eardrums. Hong Yu, who had been keeping her eyes closed and silent, opened her eyes at the same time. There was a hint of complexity in her beautiful eyes. Shen Qing ah Shen Qing. Closing square bracket. Why do you need to do this? Closing square bracket. Forcibly breaking into the zombie army's prison, don't you take your own life seriously? Closing square bracket. Thinking in her heart, Hong Yu's eyes were filled with mist unconsciously. The corner of his mouth evoked a touch of tenderness that was hard to detect. That fool. Closing square bracket. Area 65 Underground City. Outside the zombie army's cage. At this time, Beast King, a mutant zombie nearly 10 meters in size, appeared, instantly breaking the tranquility of the entire dilapidated dungeon. The zombie army in charge surged out of the cage. Outside, 67 zombies were even photographed on the verge of death by the alien zombie Beast King. Wang Yu also rushed out of the zombie army's cage. When he saw this behemoth, he was stunned on the spot. Wang Yu, Zombie Beast King. No, this guy's aura is far beyond that of the zombie Beast King. Could it be that this is a mutant zombie Beast King? What on earth is the zombie army doing? Why does the alien zombie Beast King appear in the dungeon? Beast King. The overall strength is comparable to high-level performers. Under normal circumstances, a mutant zombie Beast King does not pose much of a threat to the zombie army. But this one is different at this time. Colorful lights flashed on it. The speed and strength far exceed that of the alien zombie Beast King by nearly 50%. If the violent mode is turned on, the threat this beast can pose may not be as weak as the Fissioner. Oh my god, this alien zombie Beast King can actually use blood characteristics. Quickly inform the commander that we cannot defeat this kind of monster. We have been notified, but the commander has just left for 10 minutes. By the time he comes back, we will probably be dead already. Where's the guarding zombie army? Where's the guarding zombie army? They are strong, let them deal with it. No, our Area 65 fell before, and both the defensive zombies and the guarding zombie army suffered heavy casualties. Now we can't tell the zombies apart. It's over, it's over. What happened to our dungeon in Area 65? Are you determined not to give up until the dungeon is scrapped? The zombie army rushed out of the cage and talked a lot. Even though he knew that he couldn't abandon this alien zombie Beast King. Let them face a battle with this behemoth. These high-level bloodline zombies simply don't have the courage. For a while, the underground city in Area 65 is once again in crisis. Roar. The Mastiff looked up to the sky and roared, and the harsh sound hovered throughout the underground city. At this time, in the zombie army's cage in Area 65, because of the appearance of the Mastiff, all the zombies in charge rushed out. For a while, there was not even a single zombie army in the cage. Bai Wuhua twitched her nose and said excitedly, "I'm a good boy, is that the sound of a Mastiff?" Sister Hong, don't tell me, is that guy Xiao Qingzi planning to rob the prison? Gao Xiaoxiao's pretty face was rosy, and her body was trembling with excitement. Jail robbery. It's so exciting to think about it. Lao Mu stood up unhurriedly, shook his neck, and said nothing, staring at the end of the corridor of the prison with a pair of eyes glowing with blue light. Hong Yu has also stood up. Gray energy emerged from the body, and a trace of scarlet appeared in her beautiful eyes. Abnormal rage 103% increase. I saw. With a click, Hong Yu actually forced a passage out of the very solid cage. Click click click. Seeing Hong Yu taking action, the tall and small twin ponytails also turned into two sharp sickles. The cage she was in was cut open in an instant. Bai Wuhua is like a dog like Hada Hada. Quick, Xiao Xiao, help me quickly. Gao Xiao Xiao. Slightly, I won't save you, you can find a way by yourself. Bai Wuhua cried sadly. Xiao Xiao, don't be like this, no matter what, I can be considered your good brother. The electric light and flint between the two sickles cut open the cage in front of Bai Wuhua. The speed was so fast and the angle was so accurate that it almost cut the white 5 flowers together. Old Bai was so frightened that he took a few steps back in panic, and at the same time couldn't help but cursed, "Gao Xiao Xiao. Are you really thinking about my pork belly? I'm telling you, if you want to eat my pork belly, brother, there's no way." There was a click. With Hongyu's help, Lao Mu has also come out. Giving Lao Bai a blank look, Lao Mu snorted, "Idiot. Hongyu. Okay, let's talk about the bickering later. Shen Qing got the chance for us, now all the members rush out. Remember, don't be obsessed with fighting. Our goal is to leave Area 65 and go to the above world. As long as we reach the above world, the zombie army in Area 65 will no longer be able to restrain us." Bai Wuhua and others stopped playing around, looked serious, and said in unison, "Yes." Outside the cage, behind the rock wall, Shen Qing silently watched the mastiff's wanton behavior, but his eyes were always staring at the door of the cage not far away. "I believe Sister Hong can guess my plan." Closing square bracket. Lao Chi behind him had a look of shock and horror on his face. Especially looking at the colorful energy rays on the mastiff, Lao Chi wanted to die. Oh my god, the alien zombie beast king releases bloodline characteristics that only zombies have. And it also strengthens the whole body. Can you be more perverted? If that repair hook is turned on and violent, it will probably be as powerful as a primary fissioner, right? After being shocked, he looked at Shen Qing again. This seemingly ordinary young man, like trash, has become more and more mysterious in Lao Chi's eyes. Strangeness. It's just so weird. Closing square bracket. Obviously he is just a junior bloodline zombie, but he has such a terrifying pet. Closing square bracket. Did he get lucky? Or is there a secret about this kid that I don't even know about? Closing square bracket. Lao Chi was thinking in his mind. But Shen Qing's eyes suddenly lit up. The body rushed out without hesitation. Without any hesitation. Extreme body strengthening and bone amplification. Extreme body strengthening, strength amplification. Extreme body strengthening and speed increase. Ultimate body strengthening and self-healing increase. In just one breath, the energy light similar to that of a mastiff appeared on Shen Qing's body. Followed. The gray pupils were covered bit by bit with scarlet. Abnormal rage 58% increase. A flash of fluorescent blue disappears. Abnormal calmness and diffusion of perception. All bloodline characteristics are turned on. Shen Qing's whole body turned into a stream of light, running towards the red moon at an extremely fast speed. Noticed Shen Qing rushing towards him. Hongyu didn't show any pretense and said directly, "Leave first and then talk." Shen Qing, get ready, today we are going to climb the ladder of life. Shen Qing nodded. Yes. Bai Wuhua, Gao Xiaoxiao, and Lao Mu followed closely behind. Because the entire zombie army was dealing with the mastiffs, even if there were zombies that noticed Hongyu and the others, they had no time to take care of them. Soon, the 5 zombies, led by Hongyu and Shen Qing, passed through the mastiff fighting circle at high speed. At the same time, Shen Qing shouted, "Mastiff! Mastiff! Ah, Shen Qing, let's go." The words fell. 5 zombies, including Shen Qing, Hongyu, and Bai Wuhua, jumped up and landed firmly on the mastiff's generous back. The mastiff's eyes turned scarlet red. The rage is on. Under the multiple blessings of extreme body strengthening and violence, the mastiff's speed is almost like a stream of light. Fleeting. The zombie army in Area 65 didn't even react. Zombies such as the mastiff and Shen Qing have long since disappeared. Lao Chi was shocked. Oh my god, to use the words of human beings back then. You guys are just pure idiots. With a sigh, Lao Chi also exerted force on his feet and quickly followed Shen Qing and other zombies. He had already made up his mind. This time, Shen Qing, that little guy. He will definitely tie it firmly into the zombie army in Area 77. The ladder of life. Because of the appearance of mastiffs, many of the guarding zombie troops were also transferred to the cage. At this time, the ladder of life is the period when defense is at its weakest. The mastiff galloped all the way, and within a minute it had reached the bottom of the ladder of life. Looking at the 2 frightened zombies in front of the entrance, Shen Qing said directly, "Don't worry about them, just rush forward." Mastiff. Roar. A harsh roar came out. A terrifying sense of oppression swept over me. Cheng Feng, leader of the third team of the Ladder of Life Guard Department. At this moment, he was like a small boat in the hurricane, being blown away by the terror of the Mastiff. However, when he noticed several zombies on the Mastiff's back, he was completely dumbfounded. You guys are. The Mastiff suddenly gained strength. With a sprint, he instantly crossed the wind and rushed towards the entrance of the Ladder of Life. Only, the Mastiff seemed a bit vindictive. While it was passing by Cheng Feng, its huge tail slapped Cheng Feng hard. Just hear a bang. Cheng Feng actually fainted from being photographed on the spot. Bai Wuhua looked back and couldn't help but smacked his lips. Tisk tisk, bullfrog bullfrog, I finally discovered today that the Mastiff is not only powerful but also a vengeful master. The Mastiff ran and roared to the sky, ah woo. It was obvious that it seemed to understand Bai Wuhua's words, and its roar was a sign of approval. Likewise, there is still a hint of smoky taste. Gao Xiaoxiao sat on the Mastiff, stroking the long hair, his face flushed. Ah, I can finally suck the dog. As soon as he finished speaking, Gao Xiaoxiao lay directly in the Mastiff's hair, rolling around and inhaling wildly. That look. Shen Qing had black hair, glanced at Hongyu and swallowed. Is she perverted? Hongyu held her forehead. Really? Shen Qing, Hongyu, Bai Wuhua and the others looked at each other and smiled, and the feeling of surviving the disaster came to their minds. Even if they have rushed into the Ladder of Life. And, the Ladder of Life began to climb all the way up. But Hongyu still didn't ask Shen Qing for details. Instead, she frowned slightly and kept staring at the light spot above. As the light spot became brighter and brighter in front of my eyes, it also grew larger and larger. The fragrance of wild grass hits my face. Shen Qing was trembling a little, out of excitement and anticipation. Finally we are coming to the earthly world. Closing square bracket. It didn't take long. With a click, the Ladder of Life stopped. The world above ground comes into view. However, Shen Qing failed to laugh. The faces of zombies such as Bai Wuhua and Mu Lengtu were as dark as ink. Hongyu clenched her fists tightly, with murderous intent in her eyes. He Junwang looked at them indifferently, with a hint of murderous intent in his tone. Well done, you guys are really good. Beast King can even create alien zombies. It seems that under your leadership, the Eastern Excavation Team's shameless activities are more and more horrifying. The words fell. The zombie army all surrounded Hongyu and other zombies. He Junwang's tone was cold and he said with an order. As the commander of the 65th District Zombie Army, I order the 65th District Zombie Army to execute all the rebels of the Eastern Excavation Group. The order is issued. When dealing with such enemies, the zombie army must not retain any manpower until the enemies are killed. Finally reach the earthly world. But what Shen Qing and the others are facing is not the freedom of the earthly world. It was the execution of the zombie army in Area 65. There are nearly 40 zombie armies, and every zombie is a high-level bloodline zombie. Judging from the aura on their bodies, the bloodline awakening value of these zombies is not low, and they are also soldiers who have been fighting on the front line against the enforcers all year round. Facing this zombie army, Shen Qing knew very well. If they fight, they will die. Bai Wuhua. Sister Hong, what should I do? What are you doing? Hongyu didn't answer, and her eyes stared directly at He Junwang from a long distance away. After a long time, a heavy breath was exhaled, and Hongyu said coldly, Are you forcing me? He Junwang chuckled. Forcing you? Colluded with the new humans, raised the alien zombie Beast King, and did not report to the zombie army when he discovered the Beast Den. Hongyu, everything here is enough for you to die 100 times. You ask me now, am I forcing you? Hongyu, I did not collude with the new humans. He Junwang, what about the alien zombie Beast King? What about the Beast Cave? Do you dare to say that you never had these? This time, it was Hongyu's turn to be silent. Actually, when Hongyu first discovered the Beast's Den and concealed it, she had thought about such a day. Therefore, this is also the reason why Hongyu has always wanted to leave Area 65 as soon as possible. However, it's a blessing, not a curse, but it's a curse that cannot be avoided. The point finally came. Hongyu looked at Shen Qing, her eyes changing from cold to watery tenderness. He rubbed Shen Qing's head and said with a smile as bright as the spring breeze in March, Shen Qing, stay well with Lao Bai and the others from now on. After you leave, remember to keep your secrets from other zombies as much as possible. It's too dangerous for you." The words fell. Hong Yu looked at Bai Wuhua and Lao Mu and said, "Old Bai, Lao Mu. You two, take good care of Shen Qing for me from now on, do you hear me?" Lao Bai's eyes drifted away. Lao Mu frowned and gritted his teeth. They had already guessed Hong Yu's plan. At last, Hong Yu looked at Gao Xiaoxiao. "Xiaoxiao, you are actually quite smart, so if you have nothing to do, please help me keep an eye on Lao Mu and Lao Bai. And Shen Qing, this kid, always likes to act impulsively. Please keep an eye on them." At the end of the last word, Hong Yu took a deep breath and exhaled it at the same time. At the same time, a terrifying aura suddenly burst out from her body. Hong Yu's figure jumped up and landed smoothly among the zombie army in Area 65. The originally gray beautiful eyes had long since changed to only no killing, with the most primitive and bloody red color of zombies. Run. Abnormal rage 158% ultimate increase. Ah. With a calm breath, Hong Yu's originally messy hair moved in the wind. It looked like a lion with its hair blown off. A pair of scarlet eyes stared at the zombie army with a greedy thirst for blood. He Junwang's expression changed drastically. He never expected that Hong Yu would dare to unleash his abnormal rage in front of so many zombie armies. Immediately, He Junwang shouted, "All zombie armies, quickly stay away from this zombie and fight with pulling and restricting as the core. Remember, never confront him." At the same time, He Junwang looked at Shen Qing and the other zombies again, with a cruel smile on his lips and said, "Ha ha. Don't think you can escape if Hong Yu activates his abnormal rage. Today, as long as I am here, you will only have one outcome. That means certain death." The words fell. He Junwang's body rushed forward like a cannonball. The speed is staggering. In 2 breaths, he was already standing directly in front of the mastiff. A long knife of nearly 1.56 meters struck the mastiff's front legs with a cold light. He Junwang said coldly, "Beast King. In my hands, even the Fissioners cannot escape the inevitable death situation." Shen Qing was shocked. "I haven't had time to speak out yet. Just heard a snap. The mastiff's right leg had actually been cut off alive. Zombie beasts are also a type of zombie. Therefore, they do not have the ability to perceive pain." A cold light flashed. As the forearms were shaved off, the mastiff's massive body leaned forward. Lao Mu's eyes glowed with fluorescent blue and said, "Fight." Bai Wuhua twisted his arm, and the original laughter on his face was gone. Instead, there was a bone-chilling chill, "Kill them." Gao Xiaoxiao was a little panicked. He grabbed Shen Qing's sleeve and said eagerly, "Shen Qing. Sister Hong just told us to run, not fight. Fighting against so many zombie armies, we will definitely die." Hear the words. Before Shen Qing could respond, Bai Wuhua was the first to speak, "Gao Xiaoxiao. If you're scared, you can get out." Gao Xiaoxiao was also angry. "What are you talking about? Fatty Bai, will I be afraid? But think about it carefully with your walnut-sized brain. For our safety, Sister Hong has launched a full-scale abnormal rage. If we all die in the end, wouldn't we have completely let down Sister Hong?" Bai Wuhua. Lao Mu's swing of the hammer also gradually stopped. Both zombies were silent. Only Shen Qing's eyes were firm, her gray eyes staring directly at Hong Yu, who had already started fighting. "I saw." Hong Yu tears apart the zombie army with her hands. Her strength is so powerful that it even scares people. The zombie army, which has been fighting on the front line all year round, fighting against the executor, could not even last 5 rounds in her hands. But if you look carefully, you can definitely find it. The zombie army is adjusting at an extremely fast speed, and Hong Yu's battle is starting to look difficult. Gao Xiaoxiao looked at Shen Qing and said nothing, and shook his arm eagerly, "Shen Qing. It's time to go." However, just as he finished speaking, a figure has already risen into the sky. The long knife in his hand glowed with cold light, and he swung it towards Bai Wuhua without hesitation. When there was a sound of metal colliding, and there was even a spark. Although Lao Mu's 2 iron hammers only shook He Junwang's offensive a little, they were still successful in saving Bai Wuhua. "Lao Mu, old Bai, let's retreat." Bai Wuhua looked embarrassed, but in the end he gritted his teeth and followed Mu Lengtu to quickly escape into the distance. While escaping, he shouted viciously, He Junwang, why the hell are you waiting for me? I will avenge Sister Hong sooner or later. Xiao Qingzi, retreat quickly. Seeing Bai Wuhua and Lao Mu preparing to escape, He Junwang did not stop them. Instead, he turned his attention to Shen Qing and Gao Xiaoxiao. At this time, Gao Xiaoxiao's face was still full of eagerness, but Shen Qing remained calm, her eyes still staring at the battle on Hong Yu's side. The mastiff beneath him roared unwillingly. He Junwang sneered, "What? You don't plan to escape?" Shen Qing still didn't speak. Gao Xiaoxiao was almost anxious. She knew that Shen Qing could be a jerk sometimes. But he never expected that under the current situation, he would still be on the axis. Abnormal hair Kamitatsu. Abnormal hair brown bear. The twin ponytails turned into two sharp sickles. On the body, the thick hair turns it into a brown bear-like appearance. Gao Xiaoxiao sighed. I really can't stand you. I'm not leaving either, or we'll die together today. However, Gao Xiaoxiao's words just fell. The long knife with a cold light appeared on her neck. Looking at that posture, Gao Xiaoxiao's body and head will be separated in the next second. He Junwang. Die. Extreme body strengthening strength amplification. Extreme body strengthening and speed increase. Extreme body strengthening and bone amplification. Ultimate body strengthening and self-healing increase. Abnormal rage 58% increase. Exceptionally calm and precise perception. Boom. Sudden. Shen Qing's body burst out with a terrifying arrogance without any warning. At the same time, a loud sound of Jin Jie came. The long knife that was about to chop off Gao Xiaoxiao's head was actually blocked by another long knife. The two long knives both glowed with a faint cold light, and the blades, sizes, and shapes were exactly the same. However, because Shen Qing's strength was much lower than that of He Junwang, the moment the two swords collided, the one in Shen Qing's hand was knocked away. But fortunately, Gao Xiaoxiao is safe. He shook his numb arm. Shen Qing looked indifferently with his eyes. He Junwang's pupils dilated, and there was a hint of disbelief in his eyes. Why do you have a cold light knife? Shen Qing did not answer. He didn't know what the Hangguang knife was. He just temporarily created a knife that was exactly the same as He Junwang's at Gao Xiaoxiao's critical moment. However, it seems that my strength is too different from his. Closing square bracket. I just don't know whether what he just said is true or false. Closing square bracket. Something moved in my heart. Shen Qing picked up Gao Xiaoxiao, burst into speed, turned into a stream of light and fled directly into the distance. At the same time, he turned back and shouted, "Mastiff, transform. Follow me." The mastiff whined, and its nearly 10-meter body suddenly shrunk. Basic accomplishment was slightly trimmed, and quickly chased after Shen Qing. He Junwang's face was ashen, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. He exerted force under his feet and rushed forward at an extremely fast speed. After all, He Junwang is an apex-level bloodline zombie, and he also has a very high bloodline awakening value. Even if he uses extreme body strengthening and abnormal rage, his speed is completely unable to compete with He Junwang. Within a few breaths, behind Shen Qing, the long knife with a cold light was approaching. See it. Gao Xiaoxiao instinctively planned to use Kamamaitachi to fight against him. Aha! The sickle dodged, but did not hurt He Junwang, and even the cold light knife that was swung could not block it at all. On the contrary, the sickle weasel transformed into twin ponytails was chopped off directly by He Junwang. The cold light knife was heading straight towards Shen Qing, as if it would cut his waist in two in the next second. Gao Xiaoxiao. Shen, please be careful. Lao Bai and Lao Mu escaped some distance and stopped. Shen, please be careful. Little Qingzi, Hongyu, who had been in a crazy battle, subconsciously looked at Shen Qing at this moment. All zombies know it. There is no way to avoid this blow, and Shen Qing will definitely become a dead soul under the sword. Gao Xiaoxiao had closed his eyes in fear. The next second. Creation primary fissioner. Boom. An explosion swept through. Mechanized voices came out at the same time. Executing an order. Absolute strangulation. Target. All zombies. The scarlet light core weapon flashed past. He Junwang must kill Shen Qing's figure. Before the long knife fell, it was already locked by the scarlet light. For a moment, the powerful He Junwang was hit. If he hadn't temporarily turned around because he sensed danger, I'm afraid he would have died. But even so, He Junwang's right arm was also chopped off alive. Gao Xiaoxiao was shocked. He Junwang couldn't believe it. Bai Wuhua in the distance grabbed Lao Emu's bald head and exclaimed. What the hell is going on? Old Mu, tell me, what the hell is that Fissioner? Far away, Mu Bengtu let Bai Wuhua shake his head vigorously. A pair of eyes never left Shen Qing from beginning to end. It showed that although he was calm, Mu Lengtu's heart was already filled with turmoil. Can't see through. I can't see through it at all. Closing square bracket. The Fissioner seemed to appear out of thin air, as if it had nothing to do with him. Closing square bracket. But, all this is too coincidental. Closing square bracket. Sudden, Mu Bengtu's pupils dilated, and he frowned, feeling uneasy in his heart. Could it be said that Shen Qing is a new human being? Closing square bracket. You can't blame Lao Mu for thinking this way. After all, it was when Area 65 fell that he first learned about the existence of new humans. But precisely because of this, after understanding the special characteristics of the new humanity, a beautiful new humanity emerged in his mind. That is, new humans can control executors and fissioners. At the same time, the executors and fissioners in the dungeon of Area 65 are all created by new humans out of thin air. These characteristics of the new humanity now overlap so much with Shen Qing. So, Lao Mu had to think about this. With a cold face, Mu Bengtu took a breath and said, Old Bai. Tell me, could Shen Qing be a new human? As soon as these words came out, the excited expression on Bai Wuhua's face suddenly froze. He looked in the direction of Shen Qing, then looked at Mu Bengtu, and finally shook his head. Old Mu, maybe you are overthinking, right? How could the Fissioner be transformed by Xiao Qingzi? I think it's other new humans helping him. Mu Bengtu was confused. How to say? Bai Wuhua, have you forgotten? The two new humans who appeared in the dungeon in Area 65 were targeting Xiao Qingzi. So I'm thinking, maybe they didn't want Xiao Qingzi to die, so they helped. Mu Bengtu continued to frown. What's the purpose? Bai Wuhua spread his hands. If I knew, then I would be a military advisor in the future. Oh, don't make random guesses. Anyway, just remember that Xiao Qingzi can never be a new human being. Mu Bengtu didn't speak, but his eyes were still staring at Shen Qing. At the same time, Shen Qing sighed. The sudden appearance of the Fissioner immediately disrupted the entire zombie army. Because the Fissioner's destructive power is extremely strong, the range it affects is also terrifying. Therefore, almost as soon as the scarlet light of the core weapon swept past, many zombie armies were instantly killed. The power is so terrifying that it makes zombies tremble. He Junwang frowned deeply and looked at the Fissioner, who appeared inexplicably in disbelief. Followed, he suddenly looked around, but after looking for a long time, he couldn't find any trace of the new humans. Finally, he turned his attention back to Shen Qing again. Did you create this Fissioner? Shen Qing did not answer, but carried Gao Xiaoxiao and fled towards the distance again. However, while escaping, his eyes were always staring in the direction of Hong Yu, who was fighting not far away. He Junwang still wanted to pursue him. But the Fissioners are watching eagerly. If we don't get rid of this big guy first, I'm afraid all the zombie armies here today will become dead souls in the hands of this Fissioner. Shen Qing and the Fissioners weighed the pros and cons before. Soon, He Junwang has the answer. All zombie armies move away as quickly as possible. The Fissioners are not something you can deal with, so stay away from the fighting circle. However, just as He Junwang was shouting, from the corner of his eye, he saw Shen Qing, who had fled away, but now turned back again. And his goal is very clear. It was Hong Yu who was still going crazy. He Junwang sneered and said secretly, Go ahead, Hong Yu activates abnormal rage, and any zombies that come close to her will become her attack target. Closing square bracket. I would like to see how wonderful this kid's expression was when he was torn to pieces by Hong Yu's own hands. Closing square bracket. At the same time, He Junwang waved his hand at the zombie army. All zombie armies fighting Red Moon retreat quickly. Just a command. The zombie army that was still fighting Hong Yu a second ago dispersed in an instant. Hong Yu, who had lost her target, roared angrily. At the same time, a pair of scarlet eyes were already fixed on Shen Qing, who was rushing towards this side. The speed increased dramatically. Between every breath and every breath, Hong Yu was already standing in front of Shen Qing, her claws that could tear everything apart easily, and even attacked Shen Qing. Shen Qing said calmly, "Sister Hong, whether I can save you or not depends on this hand. It's a bet." Creation Zombie Red Moon Abnormal Calmness. Holding Hong Yu's offensive, Shen Qing pressed his hands directly on Hong Yu's head. An extremely outrageous suction force that wanted to drain all the energy from Shen Qing's body. Follow closely. A severe dizziness came to my mind. The second before she closed her eyes, Shen Qing saw it. Hong Yu's claws that wanted to tear him apart had arrived as expected. Shen Qing smiled and said, "Are you going to die? Looks like the bet was lost." As the last words fell, Shen Qing's eyes were completely plunged into darkness. At the same time, in the distance, He Junwang was fighting the Fissioners while paying attention to Hong Yu. When he saw that the red moon was about to tear Shen Qing into pieces, He Junwang couldn't help laughing anymore. "Ha ha ha, kill each other. Okay, this is the second time Hong Yu has killed one of her own. I feel really comfortable watching this scene." A second passed. 5 seconds passed. Not even a minute passed. Hong Yu was ready to tear Shen Qing apart with her hands, but she still didn't do anything. Just stand there. Because Hong Yu's hands were stuck, Shen Qing's body did not fall down even if she fainted. On the contrary, the blue-gray hands were still quietly placed on Hong Yu's head. He Junwang was confused. What's going on? The next second, Hong Yu's body suddenly flashed. He Junwang barely gave He Junwang a chance to react, and he directly carried Shen Qing and fled away quickly. Obviously won. Get out of your crazy state. He Junwang was shocked. Stop her. However, this all happened so suddenly. Do you want to stop it now? It's already too late. Hong Yu traveled unimpeded, holding Shen Qing in one arm and waving to Bai Wuhua and other zombies with the other. Hurry and leave. Quick. Bai Wuhua looked at Hong Yu blankly. Oh. Follow closely. Lao Mu, Bai Wuhua, and Gao Xiaoxiao, who had just been sent to Lao Bai's side by Shen Qing, followed Hong Yu and disappeared outside Area 65. He Junwang still wanted to chase him, but the Fissioner stood in front of him, and his scarlet eyes had already locked onto him. Roaring angrily, He Junwang was filled with unwillingness, and finally turned into a curse word. Grass. The zombie army looked at each other in confusion. Some zombies still don't know what happened just now. Hong Yu, who originally entered a state of madness. Why? Suddenly I regained my sanity. At this time, Hong Yu and other zombies were running away at high speed, constantly shuttling through the dense forest. Even though they were far away from Area 65, they still didn't stop. Lao Mu quietly stared at the red moon, and his precise perception was turned on. While sensing the breath, he suddenly discovered something that shocked him. Mu Bangtu. What happened? As for Hong Yu, she was escaping and frightened at the same time. Because he already felt it. There was actually another force in his body. And this power is exceptionally calm. Closing square bracket. Until it's far enough away from Area 65. Only then did Hong Yu, Bai Wuhua and other zombies stop. Mu Lengtu was the first to couldn't help but said, "Sister Hong, do you have abnormal calmness in your body?" As soon as these words came out, Bai Wuhua and Gao Xiaoxiao looked at him at the same time, with a hint of disbelief in their eyes. Hong Yu did not answer immediately. But after settling down Shen Qing, he nodded lightly and said, "Yes." One word, but it was like a thunderbolt from the clear sky. The shocked Gao Xiaoxiao and the other zombies looked confused. Bai Wuhua looked like he had seen a ghost and said, "Sister Hong, are you kidding me? Abnormally calm. You must have that bloodline characteristic of Lao Mu, he is unusually calm." Hong Yu's face was complicated, and her eyes fell on the unconscious Shen Qing. "I don't know, but just now, a new blood characteristic appeared in my body, which is abnormal calmness." Mu Bengtu frowned and looked at Shen Qing and said, "Do you think it has anything to do with Shen Qing?" Hong Yu shook her head. "I don't know. Let's wait until he wakes up. Now, take a rest and get ready to go to Area 77. Not long after the sound of the red moon fell, there was a burst of applause. The mastiff, which had been clinging to Shen Qing's side and had lost one of its front legs, immediately stood up and whined a warning sound from its mouth. Lao Mu. Who? Everyone, don't be nervous, I'm not your enemy. Following the voice, Lao Chi's figure gradually came into view of Hongyu and other zombies. Only, at this time, Lao Chi's eyes never left Shen Qing from beginning to end, and there was even more excitement and greed in his eyes. Old Chi rubbed his nose and said with a smile, haha. This little guy is really surprising. Being able to suppress Hongyu's abnormal rage, I'm afraid this is the first time such a thing has happened in the entire zombie army, right? Lao Chi's eyes suddenly turned to the red moon, and his old eyes were as deep as the sea. Hongyu, do you know something? Hongyu's expression remained as usual, and her tone was terrifyingly calm. I don't know. It just suddenly healed. It's not hard to hear it from what Lao Chi just said. This old guy probably didn't hear Hongyu's previous conversation. Since she didn't hear it, Hongyu would naturally not leak such important things. There is even another guess in Hongyu's heart. If this kind of speculation is leaked, I'm afraid the rest of Shen Qing's life is completely over. Lao Chi was surprised. Oh, you really don't know? Hongyu, I don't know. Okay, Lao Chi, take us to Area 77. After explaining some details, go directly to the high-level corpse crystal mine. I think the zombie army in Area 77 has been waiting for a long time, right? Lao Chi spread his hands. Knowing that Hongyu didn't intend to say anything, he didn't continue to ask. After all, when we get to Area 77, are we still afraid that you won't tell me? Closing square bracket. There is a lot of time in the future, I also have time to spend with you. Closing square bracket. Take a break. Hongyu, Bai Wuhua and other zombies followed Lao Chi and rushed towards Area 77. Not long after they left, deep in the dense forest, two figures slowly walked out. One is small and one is large. The little one is even less than 1 meter tall and looks like a complete child. And big. He is at least 1.9 meters tall. If Shen Qing were here at this time, he would definitely be able to recognize that the tall man was the zombie who intercepted Chi-Chi at the ladder of life. Mio, don't you take him back. The boss has been thinking about it for 2 or 3 years, the child said. However, there was no hint of childishness in his voice. On the contrary, he has the illusion of being quite sophisticated. Codename Mio shook his head slightly, but his eyes were staring in the direction where Shen Qing and the others had already lost sight. Moment. Let's go. As long as this kid leaves Area 65 alive, he will have to rely on himself for the rest of the journey. The child curled his lips. You and the boss are really interesting. We really want to see him, but we have been unwilling to bring him into the organization. Mio, tell me the truth, do you have M tendencies? Codename Mio. A message for you. Child. What? Codename Mio. Get out. 2 days later, Area 77 Underground City. Inside a courtyard belonging to a zombie army, Hongyu and Lao Mu stood at the door smoking. Lao Bai was walking back and forth in the room with a worried look on his face. Moment. Bai Wuhua. Sister Hong, how about we send Xiao Qingzi to the medical department? It's been 2 days. If Xiao Qingzi wasn't still breathing, I might have thought he was dead. Hongyu took a sip, and the smoke rose. Hold on. Bai Wuhua said anxiously. Sister Hong, what are we waiting for? Hongyu didn't answer this time, just like all the zombies had done when they asked her in the past 2 days. Obvious. She didn't want to answer the question. Seeing that Hongyu didn't respond, Bai Wuhua continued to walk around the room. However, at this time, Gao Xiaoxiao, who had been sitting by the bed, exclaimed, Sister Hong. Lao Bai. Shen Qing is awake. The voice just fell. Hongyu, who was outside the door 1 second, appeared directly beside the bed the next second. Hongyu. Shen Qing, how are you? Although Bai Wuhua was the most anxious, he was the slowest to respond. After Hongyu helped Shen Qing up, he belatedly ran to the bed. Looking around, Shen Qing asked doubtfully, are we in Area 77? Hongyu nodded and asked Gao Xiaoxiao to bring a glass of water from the side and hand it to Shen Qing before saying, yes. I've been here for 2 days. After drinking a large amount of water, Shen Qing captured something from Hongyu's words. Immediately, he asked with some surprise, I have been unconscious for 2 days. Bai Wuhua breathed a sigh of relief. Yes, Xiao Qingzi, if you don't wake up, I will say that you must be sent to the crematorium. Incineration on the spot. Gao Xiao Xiao. Red Moon. Bai Wuhua looked embarrassed. Why are you looking at me like that? Is there something wrong with what I said? As he spoke, his face did not turn red, and his heart did not beat. It was completely different from the anxious look before. Shen Qing stood up. After moving his body, although the zombie couldn't feel pain, the feeling of powerlessness still filled his body. Shen Qing knows. Such serious sequelae may be inseparable from my previous actions. Are the consequences of creating bloodline characteristics for others that serious for me? Closing square bracket. I was unconscious for 2 days on the spot. It seems that I can never try it easily in the future. Closing square bracket. Shen Qing glanced at the 3 zombies surrounding the bed and asked with some confusion, where is Lao Mu? Hongyu pressed her chin toward the door. I'm smoking outside. How is your health? Is there anything uncomfortable? Shen Qing shook his head. No, it's just a little feeling of powerlessness. I think it'll be fine if I take a rest. After hearing this answer, the zombies breathed a sigh of relief. After 2 days, I finally let go of my choice. It didn't take long. Hongyu asked Bai Wuhua and Gao Xiaoxiao to go out first. There were only 2 zombies left in the room, Shen Qing and Hongyu. Wait until the house is quiet. The biggest doubt that had been hovering in Hongyu's heart was finally asked by her. I saw. Hongyu squirmed her throat twice and asked dryly. Shen Qing, tell me the truth. Is the abnormal calmness in my body caused by you? Really? Shen Qing smiled bitterly. Before fainting, Shen Qing had thought about it. This time, for Red Moon, I took the plunge and tried to create bloodline traits for other zombies. I am afraid, you will definitely be asked after waking up. But, since it had already been used, Shen Qing had already been prepared. After looking around to make sure there were no zombies around, Shen Qing nodded solemnly. Yes, not much explanation, but just one word was enough to make Hongyu change her face. Hiss. Hongyu couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air, and said in surprise, sure enough, that's the case. What had puzzled her for 2 days, even though she had already guessed it. But when I got the affirmation from Shen Qing, I was still quite shocked. After a period of calm, Hongyu asked tentatively, can you tell me the details? Shen Qing looked embarrassed and wanted to speak decisively, but looking at Hongyu's expectant look, she finally. Okay. If you don't want to say it, I won't force you. Hongyu said suddenly, but remember it, kid. Such risky things must never be done again in the future. Do you know how worried we have been about you these past 2 days? Shen Qing looked at Hongyu blankly. Unexpectedly, she stopped asking questions. But for a moment, Shen Qing's heart felt warm again. Presumably, this is a true partner. Closing square bracket. Compared with creation, what is more important to them is the safety of their companions. Closing square bracket. Nodding obediently, Shen Qing smiled and said, okay, I will pay attention to it in the future. Hongyu glanced at Shen Qing angrily, it's just you. Are you still paying attention? I'm afraid you won't be able to pay attention to your impulsive temper in your lifetime. But, at this point, Hongyu's voice suddenly became much softer, thank you anyway. Shen Qing twitched and scratched her ears. Huh. Sister Hong, what are you talking about? Hongyu's cheeks turned a rare red, and she slapped Shen Qing on the head. Get out of here if you're feeling well. Soon, Shen Qing gets up. Although his face is still a little pale, there is no problem with normal actions. With a creak, the door opened. Mu Bengtu, Bai Wuhua, and Gao Xiaoxiao came and went at the same time. Lao Mu still had that droopy face. Yeah. Just wake up. There were many things he wanted to ask in his heart, but he did not speak. The reason why Mu Lengtu did not enter the house when Shen Qing woke up was because he was struck. Be good. Just thinking about it makes me cry. Lao Mu is proud of his unusual calmness, and even plays an important reconnaissance role in the team. Nowadays, the characteristics of his bloodline are actually possessed by 2 zombies, Hongyu and Shen Qing. No one knows who has that feeling. Anyway, with Gao Xiaoxiao and Bai Wuhua's eyesight, Lao Mu has been miserable these days. Only, at this time, Shen Xiao's eyes were not on the 3 of them. Instead, he looked into the distance with some surprise. Area 77. A completely different underground city from Area 65. Here, the lights are brightly lit, and the special lighting inlaid on the rock wall makes Area 77 look like daylight on the ground. Around the core tower in the center of the core urban area, towering buildings were built in circles from the inside out, from high to low. Sometimes, you can also see ordinary zombies passing by outside the courtyard of the zombie families. Their faces are not as expressionless as those of the zombies in Area 65. On the contrary, some were laughing and chatting, and some were laughing heartily. If you compare the dungeon in Area 65 to a dead city. So, the underground city in District 77 is a city full of vitality and vitality. Because the zombie family home in District 77 is located in a relatively high location. All the general appearance of this underground city can be seen. Shen Qing stared blankly. Is this Area 77? I've always heard that there are 197 underground cities in the world, and each one is very different. Only when I saw him today did I understand the meaning of the teacher's words. Hongyu smiled and patted Shen Qing on the shoulder. Area 77 is just one of the most ordinary dungeons. If there is a chance in the future, I will personally take you to see what the dungeon in Area 1 looks like. That's really called the top dungeon. Ah woo. The mastiff rubbed against Shen Qing's leg, seeming to be happy for its owner's awakening. Only then did Shen Qing notice. The mastiff's front legs, which were chopped off 2 days ago, have grown new ones. However, it is not fully grown yet, and it looks like it will take another 3 or 4 days to fully recover. That's it, still with the ultimate body strengthening and self-healing increase. If it were a normal zombie beast, I'm afraid the leg that was cut off would never grow back. Under the leadership of Hongyu, Shen Qing and other zombies went to the core city of Area 77. And had some delicious food inside. Until afternoon. They just walked towards the ladder of life in Area 77. The ladder of life in Area 77. Lao Chi was laughing and talking with a guard zombie army. Sudden, out of the corner of his eye, he noticed several zombies walking not far away. Immediately, the topic ended and Lao Chi hurried forward to greet him. He laughed at Shen Qing and said, "Haha. Shen Qing, you kid is so shocking. I originally thought that the rescue plan you mentioned would definitely fail, but I didn't expect that Hongyu and the others were actually rescued by you." Shen Qing nodded slightly and responded politely, "Yes." Honestly, he didn't want to communicate too much with this old guy. Because Shen Qing knew about the rescue of Hongyu from Area 65. This Lao Chi is definitely a zombie whose interests always come first. Without any benefit, he would never do anything. "Hongyu, Lao Chi, are you ready? If everything is ready, we can set off tomorrow morning." Lao Chi still had that kind smile and said, "Don't worry, everything is ready." A smile appeared on Hongyu's face, but Lao Chi changed the subject. "But, you should also know that mining equipment is easy to handle, but mining equipment is more complicated, and the cost of each one is not low. Hongyu, none of us are ink people, so I'll keep the story short. The boss wants you to add more." Really. As soon as Lao Chi finished speaking, Hongyu's smiling face suddenly turned dark. When he spoke, there was a hint of coldness in his voice. "Lao Chi, are you going to raise your price on the ground?" With cold eyes, Hongyu frowned and continued, "You should know. Without District 77, we can still cooperate with the zombie armies in other districts. I think the zombie armies in other districts will be very happy." Lao Chi looked embarrassed and waved his hands hurriedly. "Hey, Hongyu, look at what you are saying. Don't we have something to discuss? If it really doesn't work, why don't you just loosen your belt and give us 1%? Hongyu's attitude was firm. "I won't give in a single point." This time, it was Lao Chi's turn to look ugly. Lao Chi spread his hands and snorted coldly, "So there's nothing to talk about. Okay, then you can give it a try. Now that you are wanted in Area 65, are there any other dungeons that dare to cooperate with you?" Red Moon. You. Shen Qing suddenly pressed Hongyu's arm and shook her head silently. Hongyu was a little confused, but she still did it. Shen Qing, on the other hand, walked out of Hongyu with a smile and said calmly to Lao Chi, "Senior Chi. It's not impossible for us to separate at some point. At least, your District 77 needs to show us what this so-called extremely expensive equipment looks like, right? Who knows if those things are worth 1%? This moment. Not only Lao Chi, even Hongyu, Bai Wuhua, Mu Bangtu, and Gao Xiaoxiao were stunned. Hongyu was shocked. What kind of plane is this kid Shen Qing doing? Closing square bracket. Little did I know, Shen Qing's plan really begins from this moment. After a brief surprise, a bright smile appeared on Lao Chi's face. He stepped forward and took Shen Qing's hand, patted it and said, "Haha. I knew that little brother Shen Qing understands zombies best. Don't worry, with the support of our District 77, your affairs will definitely be handled properly," said. Lao Chi patted his chest confidently. However, Shen Qing smiled and said calmly, "That's natural. We definitely believe in the zombie army in Area 77. The conversation changed and Shen Qing said again, "But it's still the same as before. You have to let us see if the mining equipment is worth the 1%. We are all sensible people and no one wants to suffer." Lao Chi smiled and said, "That's that. Come on, I'll take you to see it." Lao Chi led Shen Qing in front, while Hongyu, Gao Xiaoxiao and other zombies followed with confused expressions. On the way, Bai Wuhua lay next to Hongyu's ear and whispered, "Sister Hong, what's going on with Xiao Qingzi? After sleeping for 2 days, has your brain been damaged?" Hongyu shook her head. "I don't know, but he has his own ideas. We just have to wait and see." It didn't take long. District 77 Mining Facility Development Team just walked into this factory-like gate. A sizzling sound of mechanical operation reached the ears of the zombies. Lao Chi took the small instrument from a grassroots zombie worker and said, "Shen Qing, this is an instrument for locating the specific location of the quartz crystals in the mine. Don't look at how small this thing is. The cost alone is probably close to 500,000 yuan. Zombie world. Each dungeon already has its own currency circulating. Low-level quartz crystal is not a currency, it is just a special ore used to maintain dungeons. For example, when Shen Qing first joined the Eastern Excavation Team, his monthly salary was 1,000. That is the daily salary of normal zombies at the base level of the dungeon. It's not too high to say it's high, and it's not too low to say it's low. With a monthly salary of 1,000, I can only say that I will not be hungry." The value of 500,000 currency really surprised Shen Qing. Seeing the reaction of Hongyu's zombies, Lao Chi chuckled, pointed at a large instrument and said, "Shen Qing, look at that again. The main function of that instrument is to excavate the mine space, which can save a lot of zombie labor. Of course, it will save a lot of time. The overall cost of that instrument is at least a few $1,000,000. Hiss, Bai Wuhua couldn't help but sucked in a breath of cold air and whispered to Hongyu, "I'm such a good boy. Little million, if we develop normally in the dungeon, I'm afraid we won't be able to make that much money in a few lifetimes, right?" Gao Xiaoxiao. "Yes, if these instruments are really so expensive, then it doesn't matter if we give up 1%. Hongyu said nothing, her eyes just looked at Shen Qing quietly. She was very curious as to why Shen Qing was doing this now. Soon, Lao Chi introduced all the instruments and equipment needed to mine a high-level quartz crystal vein. Lao Chi clasped his hands together and rubbed them slightly. Apparently he had nothing to hold back and said, "How is it? This is all the equipment needed to mine a high-level quartz crystal vein. The overall value is definitely over 10 million. Although high-level quartz crystals are also very valuable, in the final analysis, these equipments are all produced by us, so a little profit is not too much, right?" Shen Qing nodded and looked back at Hongyu. After noticing that the other party nodded, apparently leaving everything to him, Shen Qing continued with a smile. "That's what Senior Qi said. But I took a look and there is absolutely no need for us to use these devices. So, let's forget about the previous profit concessions." When Lao Chi heard this, his pupils dilated obviously, and he plucked his ears in disbelief. "What did you say? You're not going to use these devices? Shen Qing, your joke is not funny at all." Shen Qing's face was as pale as water, and she looked straight at Lao Chi. "Senior Qi, do you think I'm joking?" This time, it was Lao Chi's turn to sit still. A pair of skinny old hands were placed in front of him like a rattle. He obviously didn't expect Shen Qing to say such words suddenly. After all, just kidding, Mining a high-level quartz crystal vein without using these mining instruments and equipment would be simply a dream. Let alone mining, even the most basic positioning of quartz crystals cannot be done. Quartz crystal positioning is very important, if accurate positioning cannot be obtained. Then, when mining, it is like a headless fly with no goal at all. No matter how much effort and time it takes, it will most likely come to nothing in the end. Lao Qi knew this very well, that's why he raised the price, and also why he couldn't believe what Shen Qing said. Although Hongyu didn't know what medicine Shen Qing was selling in the gourd. But she still stood up resolutely and smiled very politely. Lao Qi, just like Shen Qing said. We zombies like to go off the beaten track. So, we won't use these equipment, and the profit distribution will be as we agreed before. The words fell. Hongyu waved directly to Shen Qing. Let's go. A group of zombies just walked away in front of Lao Qi. Lao Qi never recovered. After Hongyu and the others had completely left, Lao Qi finally came to his senses and knocked on his head. The inside was still fried like paste. What are these zombies doing? Mining without equipment and instruments. Are you out of your mind? In the courtyard of the family members of the zombie army in Area 77. Bai Wuhua, Gao Xiaoxiao, and Mu Bengtu were kicked out of the house by Hongyu again. At this time, there were only 2 zombies left in the house, Shen Qing and Hongyu. Seeing that Lao Bai and the others were gone, Hongyu suddenly said, "Hurry up, I can't hold it in anymore." Shen Qing, looking at Hongyu's impatient look, she was deeply shocked. Is Sister Hong still coveting my body? Closing square bracket. Then, should I resist? Closing square bracket. Hongyu grabbed Shen Qing's arm and asked with an anxious and expectant look on her face, "Tell me quickly. After you reject Lao Qi, what are you going to do about the mining instruments and equipment? Is there any good way?" Hear the words. Shen Qing was secretly relieved. Huh, so that's what happened, I thought. Suddenly, Shen Qing shut up. A trace of doubt flashed in Hongyu's beautiful eyes. What else do you think? Shen Qing clicked her toes in embarrassment. What, it's okay. Hongyu narrowed her eyes, as if she had seen through everything, smiled, and hugged Shen Qing's neck. Yo. Didn't you see it? You kid actually had your mind set on my mother. After saying that, Hongyu glanced around Shen Qing, licked her lips and said, "Tisk, tisk." However, should I say it or not, you are quite to my liking. Why don't you give it a try? Shen Qing. Ahem. Shen Qing coughed a few times in a panic, and quickly escaped from Hongyu's arms. What about that, Sister Hong? As for the mining instruments and equipment, I actually have nothing to do. I just think that those instruments are from Area 77, so we just use them. To put it bluntly, we are in partnership with Area 77. We use their equipment to mine high-level quartz crystal veins. Do we still need to pay them rent? It didn't feel right, so I refused. Listening to Shen Qing's explanation, Hongyu also put away her joking expression. After thinking carefully for a while, he said, "What you said is indeed true. But you also know, without that equipment, we simply wouldn't be able to proceed to the next step. As Lao Bai and others said, 1% is actually not much, and it is acceptable." As Shen Qing listened, she nodded thoughtfully and said to herself, "Mining instruments and equipment. It doesn't seem like they have to use this thing." Hongyu. Huh, did you just say something? Shen Qing shook his head, still with a smile on his face. No. Sitting up straight, Shen Xiao and Hongyu faced each other and said seriously, "Sister Hong, can you leave this matter to me?" Shen Qing already has his own plan in mind. Isn't this guy Lao Qi a bad guy who can't afford to be early? This time, Shen Qing planned to let Lao Qi, the guy from District 77, lose even a penny of the benefits. Hongyu didn't hesitate, patted Shen Qing's shoulder and nodded, "Okay. I'll leave this matter to you, I believe you." At the same time, Area 77 ground zombie army. In the commander's office. Lao Qi sighed sadly, with a sad look on his face. I said, "Lao Huang, you are really passive when you do this to us." I could tell that Hongyu was unhappy when I did that a few times before. Now, you're raising prices again. This time it's better. They don't need the equipment anymore. How about 1%? I've lost all my hair. Now I'm even worried that that guy from Hongyu will try his best to burn bridges and won't give us any profit. Sitting across from Lao Chi was a zombie with a majestic expression. Judging from the appearance, this zombie is middle-aged. In fact, he is already over 100 years old. After all, the aging rate of zombie bodies is much slower than that of original humans. And this zombie, he is the commander of the zombie army in District 77. Huang Mo. Huang Mo smoked a cigarette, crossed his legs and smiled heartily at Lao Chi. Haha, Lao Chi, I think you are just too full. Hong Yu and the others are now wanted by District 65. Except for us in District 77, no other underground city dares to cooperate with them. Don't use our equipment. Haha, even if we don't use it, the 1% won't be given to us, but what about their sales? With so many high-level corpse crystals, I'm afraid they'll all rot in my hands. After saying that, Huang Mo took out a cigarette and threw it to Lao Chi and continued, so. Don't worry about it. Hong Yu and the others will have to seek cooperation from us sooner or later. And when the time comes, I will kill her even harder. Ha ha ha. Lao Chi took the cigarette and sighed. He didn't answer, but he thought secretly in his heart. I hope so. Closing square bracket. Hopefully there will be no surprises. Closing square bracket. After all, these zombies are not fuel savers. Closing square bracket. Regarding the wanted hunt for Hong Yu and other zombies in Area 65. Fermentation takes almost 2 days. 197 zombie dungeons and 197 corresponding zombie armies around the world have received such wanted orders. The wanted information is also very simple. First, there are photos of Hong Yu and others, and below they are given a simple reason for being wanted. 5 zombies, including Hong Yu and Bai Wuhua, colluded with the new humans, failed to report the discovery of the Beast Cave, and privately raised the alien zombie Beast King. Closing square bracket. Just these 3 items almost shocked many zombie armies. Especially the Beast King, the captive alien zombie at the end. Even the zombie army as far away as District 1 couldn't help but shake their heads in shock when they saw this news. All of a sudden, zombies such as Hong Yu and Shen Qing became famous. Most of the zombie army will never cooperate with them, and even plan to capture them if they encounter them. But there is also a small part of the zombie army that is interested in Hong Yu and the guy who keeps the alien zombie Beast King in captivity. Area 1 Dungeon. In the City Lord's Palace. The zombie army commanders from Areas 3, 5, and 16 gathered here. Although they are all the commanders of the zombie army in their own dungeon, when facing the zombies in front of them, they are even cautious about breathing. Commander Long, tell me, what should we do about the zombies such as Hong Yu in Area 65? The zombie army commander in Area 5 asked. After all, it is the power that can control the alien zombie Beast King. If it can be obtained, I am afraid that there will be a situation in the future where zombie beasts and zombies will fight together and face the executor. The zombie army commanders in Area 3 and Area 16 also nodded in agreement. This is the main reason why they came to District 1 today and met with the leader of District 1. The zombie army in other dungeons may want to capture Hong Yu and other zombies and execute them. But what they were thinking about was how to use the captive alien zombie Beast King to bring more benefits to the zombie army. However, the voices of several zombies fell for a long time. The zombie sitting on the main seat didn't speak either. The zombie was gray-haired and looked very old. Although he looked to be in his 60s, his slightly narrowed eyes still exuded a chilling majesty. This person, it is the top of the clouds where all zombie songs are spread. Long Qianyang. Moment. Long Qianyang moved his body and said softly, it doesn't matter. As long as you are happy. There was no promise or rejection. But in the ears of the 3 zombie army commanders, this result was a promise. The commander of the zombie army in District 5 immediately stood up and was overjoyed. He bowed and said, Commander Long, don't worry. If we catch them, it will definitely give our zombie army an opportunity to cooperate with the zombie beasts in fighting. Let the strength of our zombie army reach a higher level. Long Qianyang still squinted his eyes, his face was uninterested, and he didn't even bother to respond. The other 2 zombie army commanders also bowed and pledged their support. It's like taking some kind of oath. After waiting for them to finish speaking, Long Qianyang waved to the 3 of them. If you have nothing to do, let's go. I want to rest. The 3 zombie army commanders looked at each other with a little embarrassment on their faces, but they did not dare to make any mistakes. After saying goodbye, he turned and left. Only. Before leaving, Long Qianyang stopped them again. Oh, right, there is a zombie named Shen Qing among them. If you catch him, bring it to me. No one is allowed to interrogate without my permission. The 3 zombie army leaders left. Long Qianyang leaned lazily on the chair and looked forward with squinted eyes. Through the large floor-to-ceiling windows, you can see the entire underground city in Area 1. The bustling streets, lively atmosphere, and various advanced technologies are actually displayed in this underground city. A long time, Long Qianyang took out a small communicator and said, "Boss, did you hear it?" Shen Qing ran away. The words fell. A childish voice came from the communicator. "Yeah, but it doesn't matter. There is news from Little Eyes that the middle-level Fissioner will make new progress soon. When he is done, I will let him deal with Shen Qing personally." The 2 zombies didn't say much before they hung up. But after hanging up the communication, Long Qianyang's old eyes that had been squinting slowly opened. There was a sparkle in a pair of eyes as deep as the vast universe. Shen Qing, son codenamed Mio. It seems that if possible, with the help of that boy, it is possible to elicit the codename Mio. It's time for the dirty world of zombies to be changed. No zombie knows. Now, at the top of the cloud top where all the zombies are talking about, there is the strongest zombie Long Qianyang. He actually did. New humans have already joined. Moreover, he also became the closest person to the new human leader. Danger is about to come to the entire zombie world. But even Long Qianyang didn't expect it. In a chaotic world, that inconspicuous Shen Qing will become a vital link. Chapter 61. Zone 65 Zombie Army Division. Lu Hong, who was missing an arm, was talking to a young female zombie. Tang Ling, this is a rare opportunity. The special training effect in Area 1 is far superior to that of our Area 65. You seize the opportunity this time and wait for your return from Area 1. You must have a place as the leader of our District 65. Lu Hong wasted no time in speaking. Tang Ling's face remained expressionless. The taciturn figure kept appearing in her mind. A long time. Tang Ling belatedly said, "Instructor Lu, please ask him." Tang Ling. Before he finished speaking, Lu Hong interrupted first, but seemed to notice that there was something wrong with his words. He calmed down and continued, "Tang Ling. Don't mention Shen Qing anymore. Nowadays, there are 197 mulberry underground cities around the world. Who doesn't know that Shen Qing, Hongyu and other zombies are extremely dangerous? Colluded with new humans, secretly raised the alien zombie Beast King, and failed to report the discovery of the Beast Den. Any one of them is enough to kill them 100 times. So, Tang Ling, just look at that kid. He is no longer the same zombie as you. He will even become your enemy in the future. You still have a long zombie career, and the future is even more promising. Don't waste your future just because of a junior bloodline zombie." Tang Ling. Collusion with the new humans. Tang Ling didn't believe it. But she couldn't refute the point of raising the alien zombie Beast King even if she wanted to. Only because, back then, Tang Ling had seen that special zombie beast with his own eyes. "I thought it was a zombie Beast King, but I never thought it was a mutant zombie Beast King comparable to a high-level executor." As for the Beast Cave, Tang Ling also knew it was true. The zombie army from District 65 spent several days and discovered a den in the eastern mine. The matter is a sure thing. The awakening value of zombies such as Shen Qing was naturally improved in the cave. Tang Ling sighed secretly. "Green, why can't you wait for me?" Closing square bracket. "I said, I will definitely bring you to the earthly world." Closing square bracket. "But now, we may never be able to see each other again." Closing square bracket. Somehow, this moment, in Tang Ling's thoughts, he recalled the words Shen Qing left. "Linger, wait for me to come back to pick you up." Sudden, Tang Ling's eyes turned bright. There was also a hint of expectation in his eyes. Looking at Lu Hong, she nodded heavily. "Okay, Instructor Lu. I'll go back to the zombie army in Area 1. When Lu Hong heard this, he immediately smiled and said, "Haha. That's right. Let me tell you, you must develop well in the first area. Shen Qing and others are not zombies with you. From now on, your future is unlimited. Instructor Lu is optimistic about you." Little did I know, Tang Ling agreed to go to Area 1 this time, and the main purpose was not special training. Rather, after special training, he escaped from the control of the zombie army and personally searched for Shen Qing, who had left. It's late at night. Area 77, the above-ground world. Hong Yu, Shen Qing and other zombies walked out of the ladder of life. Looking at the vast stars above their heads, they couldn't help but sigh. Bai Wuhua, because of time constraints, I never noticed that the sky on the earth is so beautiful. Gao Xiaoxiao pointed to the bright moon excitedly. Sister Hong, look, that is the legendary moon, right? Although Lao Mu didn't speak, his eyes were still shining. On the contrary, Shen Qing was as calm as ice, looking calmly ahead. Sister Hong, take me to see the high-level quartz crystal veins first. Hong Yu nodded. Yes, the high-level quartz crystal vein I discovered was closest to Area 77. That's why I thought about cooperating with the zombie army in District 77. Let's go. It's more than 2 hours away at most, and we should be able to get there. The words fell. Hong Yu and the other zombies disappeared into the night. At the same time, in the office of the zombie army commander in Area 77, Lao Chi rushed in through the door with an eager look on his face. Old Huang, it's not good. Hong Yu and the others left Area 77. Hear the words. Huang Mo, who was sitting at his desk, just took a breath of smoke and pressed his hands to signal Lao Chi to sit down. Hee, don't worry, have you forgotten what I said before? Even if this group of zombies can mine the high-level quartz crystal vein, in the end, if they want to sell it, they have to go through us. Said. Lao Chi had also sat down. Huang Mo took out a document, threw it to Lao Chi and continued. There is news from Districts 3, 5 and 16 today. Notify all dungeons that when encountering zombies such as Hong Yu, do not execute them until the necessary moment. It seems that the commander of Area 1 has other plans. In addition, the zombie named Shen Qing, except for the commander of District 1, no zombie in the zombie army has the right to interrogate. Having said this, Huang Mo puffed out his cigarette again and said with a smile, so. Our opportunities are increasing. This time, regardless of whether she agrees to the profit sharing or not, we will drain all the profits from Hong Yu and other zombies. After squeezing it dry, send it to Area 1. Lao Chi stared blankly at the documents in his hand, feeling a little mixed for a moment. It is clear, this time, the zombie army is sure to defeat Hong Yu and the others. Although Lao Chi loves money, he is not inhumane. He knew very well that Shen Qing was a rare genius. In the eyes of other zombies, Shen Qing may just be a zombie with primary bloodline and no characteristic ears. But Lao Chi saw it with his own eyes. The strength displayed by Shen Qing is definitely something only apex-level bloodline zombies can possess. At the same time, there are even more terrifying characteristics of enhanced bloodline throughout the body. Plus the mastiff that has been following Shen Qing, that is, the alien zombie beast king. In Lao Chi's mind, Shen Qing has long been regarded as the future top player. Now, they were actually targeted by District 1. It was even what the commander said. For a moment, Lao Chi felt a little uncomfortable. Lao Huang, are we really going to sell them? After hesitating for a long time, Lao Chi finally spoke. Huang Mo smiled coldly. Judging from his expression, he didn't pay any attention to Hong Yu and other zombies. That's natural. Can our District 77 continue to develop upwards and even join the first-class zombie army? All of this depends on Hong Yu and the others. So, with such a good opportunity, why shouldn't we seize it? Lao Chi sighed. Okay, then it's up to you. Late at night, around the dense forest, you can sometimes hear the sounds of wild animals. There is no doubt that it is naturally some zombie beast from the above-ground world. But for Hong Yu and other zombies, as long as they are not the executors, there will be no problem in handling them. Keep going. Bai Wuhua couldn't help but ask. Sister Hong, why are we going to the high-level quartz crystal mine in the middle of the night? Even if we go, we can't mine without instruments and equipment. Hong Yu's expression remained unchanged, and her beautiful eyes subconsciously glanced at Shen Qing. No need to ask any more questions. It just depends on Shen Qing's plan. However, just as Hong Yu finished speaking, Shen Qing's feet suddenly increased in speed and came to Hong Yu's side. And took out a palm-sized instrument from his pocket. Sister Hong, we're here later. You can use this instrument to see the specific divisions of the mineral veins. I'll take care of other things. This moment. With the help of the moonlight, all the zombies saw what Shen Qing handed over. Bai Wuhua even exclaimed, "That instrument worth 500,000 before. Xiao Qingzi, what the hell did you steal?" Shen Qing's face fell into the water, her face not red, her heart not beating. "No. I just picked this up on the road." A group of zombies. "Why are you trying to get into trouble with picking up this word?" Closing square bracket. Bai Wuhua couldn't help but complain. But Hongyu didn't ask any more questions, she just nodded silently and put it away. Naturally, Lao Bai, Lao Mu, and Gao Xiaoxiao didn't need to ask. It's not that they are not curious, but what's the use of being curious? Shen Qing didn't say anything, he even said that he picked up the things that would kill him. Is it possible that they had to make up a Shen Qing? Could it be conjured? It's a red moon. He glanced at Shen Qing complicatedly, not knowing what he was thinking. After a while, Shen Qing and other zombies stopped in front of a natural canyon. The rock walls on both sides of the canyon are towering and spreading forward. The hole is in the shape of a line of sky. It was pitch black in the depths. Without the light of the moon, the zombies would be unable to see even if they entered. Hongyu pointed to the inside of the canyon and said, "It's right here." The entrance to the canyon is hard to find at the tip of the nose, and the surrounding vegetation is quite dense. If I hadn't broken in by accident, I'm afraid I won't be able to find this place in my lifetime. The zombies nodded in agreement. On the way here, they had already sensed the concealment of this place. The mutated vegetation, 2 or 3 people high, almost completely covered the road. If Hongyu hadn't walked inside, they wouldn't even have thought there was a way inside. However, there are twists and turns, and there is a bright future. Behind the dense vegetation, there is such a scene. Abnormal rage 103% increase. A faint gray appears on the surface of Red Moon's body, and her beautiful gray eyes turn into scarlet little by little. Hongyu, it's better to be careful. Because there are very few zombies here, there must be zombie beasts nearby. Lao Mu nodded, turned on his abnormal calmness and added, because of the lighting problem. If we were attacked, I'm afraid we wouldn't be able to respond immediately. We will then. Buzz. Lao Mu hasn't finished speaking yet. A burst of dark yellow light lit up. Shen Qing was holding an old-fashioned oil lamp in his hand. In an instant, Lao Mu, forget it. Bai Wuhua, what can I do? Xiao Qingzi, do you have a treasure bag? Gao Xiaoxiao and Hongyu silently extended a thumb to Shen Qing. On the contrary, Shen Qing scratched his head in confusion. You know you're going to be operating at night, why don't you bring an oil lamp? Hongyu and Gao Xiaoxiao silently put away their thumbs. Bai Wuhua silently closed her mouth. Old Mu Quan turned his head as if he didn't hear it. A group of zombies. Shen Qing said a little ridiculously. Okay, just pretend I didn't say it. With the light source, the view in the canyon is obviously much better. Although the oil lamp can only illuminate them within 3 or 4 meters. But if they encounter zombie beasts, this distance is enough to give them a chance to react. As expected, it's the same as Hongyu said. Although this journey is not long, Shen Qing and the others need more than a dozen zombie beasts. There are many high-level zombies among them. However, for them, even the zombie beast king can easily deal with it. What's more, there is a mutant zombie beast king following behind Shen Qing. The journey was not dangerous. Until you stop at the fork of the canyon. Front and back, left and right. There are 4 directions but nearly 10 forks in the road. Hongyu pointed to one of them and said, it's only 10 minutes walk from here. Bai Wuhua couldn't help but give her a thumbs up. Sister Hong, you have to be awesome. There are so many forked roads, but you chose one that happened to have high-level quartz crystal veins. Hongyu's face turned watery. Well, it's just luck. In fact, no one knows. Back then, Hongyu accidentally broke into this place because of her abnormal rage. What I talked about with Shen Qing and the others before about being hit by accident was absolutely too true to be true. 10 more minutes. The high-level quartz crystal vein finally fell into Shen Qing's eyes. But, rather than saying this is a high-level quartz crystal vein, it is better to say this is a petite cave. Moreover, the cave has obviously been excavated. Seeing the doubtful expressions on the faces of the zombies, Hongyu explained, I dug that hole. At that time, I found high-level quartz crystal nearby, so I suspected that there might be a high-level quartz crystal vein in this area, so I dug a hole myself to take a look. That's exactly what happened. Moreover, the output of this high-level quartz crystal mine will never be low. Let's go and have a look, said. Hongyu took out the instrument Shen Qing gave him just now, turned it on, and walked directly into the cave. Soon, the response given on the instrument appears. Starting from the entrance of the cave, keep looking inward. There were quartz crystal prompts detected all over the front, back, left, right, and below. Even though she had known that this vein would not be barren, Hongyu couldn't help but gasp after seeing such a terrifying reminder. Hiss, so many, Hongyu said in surprise. I thought it was a mineral vein with a middle level or high level output. Looking at it now, this is definitely an apex level production volume. This time, we really made it happen. Bai Wuhua also rubbed her hands excitedly, looking like she was planning a wealthy career in the future. Gao Xiaoxiao and Lao Mu didn't react much, they just smiled. As for Shen Qing, he was hesitating, thinking, pondering how to create those mining instruments and equipment in a very reasonable way. Closing square bracket. Good. Shen Xiao's focus from the very beginning was creation. Ever since I acquired the talent and creation inherent in my bloodline. Shen Qing came to a conclusion after many attempts. Anything he has seen and has a preliminary understanding of can be directly created. For example, bloodline characteristics. As long as Shen Qing knows the effects of bloodline characteristics, he can directly create them. Another example is the mining truck. As long as Shen Qing has seen the overall appearance of the mining truck and its actual operation, he can also directly create it. The same goes for mining instruments and equipment. This is why, when he was in Area 77, Lao Qi introduced it and Shen Qing asked him to turn on the equipment and take a look. But, after all, such a big change in mining instruments and equipment worth tens of millions is somewhat nonsense. Shen Qing still had to think of a perfect way to arrange the instruments and equipment here. Seeing the excitement on Hongyu's face, Shen Qing pretended to think, then walked to Hongyu's side, bowed her head and whispered, Sister Hong, come out with me. Hongyu nodded. He and Shen Xiao walked outside the cave entrance alone and then asked, what's wrong? Shen Qing pretended to be contradictory. He hesitated for a moment before making up his mind before saying, Sister Hong, it's like this. Do you still remember what I said about the male zombie who saved me from the new human being Chi-Chi? Hongyu nodded. Remember, what happened? You mentioned him suddenly. Shen Qing looked around and said cautiously, it's like this. He told me at the beginning that if I need help, I can stay alone in a place, and he will show up and help me once the time comes. Hear the words. Hongyu's face changed, and she was a little shocked and said, you mean, you plan to let him help us get excavation instruments and equipment? Shen Qing nodded. Hongyu shook her head. No. I can kill Chi-Chi in an instant. I'm a big boss. Why should I help you? Are you pale, or are you his long-lost son? Let's just use the instruments and equipment from Area 77. Anyway, the output of the mine is very large now. It doesn't matter if you give them 1% more. Shen Qing hesitated, but finally nodded in agreement. Only, no matter it is Shen Qing or Hongyu. They never imagined that it would be the 1% promised this time. In the end, they almost trapped the 5 zombies into the point where myriad tribulations would never return. The next day, Area 77 Underground City. In the courtyard of the zombie family. Lao Qi walked into the room with a smile and saw 5 zombies there, looking at him with happy faces. For a while, Lao Qi just felt that these 5 guys definitely didn't hold their shit back well. However, old Qi, please sit down quickly. Hongyu stood up and greeted her, obviously looking like a compliment. Lao Qi is very worried. After waiting for him to sit down, Hongyu continued, that's it. The 5 of us have unified our opinions. I feel like what you said yesterday was right. Without the help of Area 77, we wouldn't be able to deal with the high-level quartz crystal mine. At the same time, even if we can handle it, the way out for the high-level quartz crystal veins will be a problem. So, in the end, we unanimously decided to cooperate normally with District 77 and accept the 1% profit concession you proposed before. Lao Qi, Well, it turns out this is it. Huh. Suddenly, Lao Chi was stunned. He even picked his ears, thinking that he heard that sentence wrongly, and asked in disbelief, Hongyu, are you kidding? Are you sure you want to give us another 1% profit? Hongyu smiled and nodded, and at the same time handed over a cup of hot tea. Yes. Old Chi, in fact, you should also know very well that our situation is very bad now. Even if we can dig the mines ourselves, we still need the zombie army in Area 77 to digest it. Otherwise, we will just have a bunch of high-level corpse crystals with no way to sell them. What's the difference between them and bad hands in the end? So, considering the current situation and the benefits you mentioned before, I think your request is very reasonable. This time, it was Lao Chi's turn to be confused. I thought Hongyu and the others were holding nothing back. But now, what they were brewing turned out to be a huge fart. It almost made Lao Chi confused. However, when things go wrong, there must be a monster. Lao Chi is a zombie, how could he not notice something strange? Instead of rushing to agree, he asked, Hongyu, I think the reason why you suddenly changed your mind is that you have some request to make. Hear the words. Hongyu suddenly smiled brightly and said to Shen Qing and the others, look, what did I say to come here? Nothing can escape Lao Chi's discerning eyes. After saying that, Hongyu's eyes turned to Lao Chi again, her beautiful eyes narrowed slightly and she continued, that's it. We saw the wanted notice about us yesterday and found that almost all of the 197 underground cities around the world are trying to arrest us. It is not an exaggeration to even kill us if we encounter them. Honestly, we, a group of zombies, are just trying to survive. The high-level zombie crystal veins are important, but if we end up losing our lives to enjoy them, how can we enjoy it? Hear this. Lao Chi realized this later. It turns out that they saw relevant wanted information in the dungeon. Closing square bracket. This is explained. Closing square bracket. Looking at the red moon, Lao Chi thought hard and said, Red moon, this is what happened. The information you have received is still relatively lagging behind. Just yesterday, information was sent from District 1. District 1, District 3, District 5, District 16, the 4 districts do not intend to kill you, but they must capture you. And the price given is ridiculously high. So, Hongyu's face suddenly changed, and her beautiful eyebrows frowned deeply. Are you going to sell us? Lao Chi spread his hands and said, you can't say something so unpleasant. I can only say that the price they gave is really too much for the zombies to decide. Seemingly noticing Lao Chi's troubled expression, Hongyu gradually understood what the old guy was holding back. Immediately chuckled, Hongyu said directly, okay, Lao Chi. We don't get along for just 1 or 2 days. If you have anything to say, you can just say it. How much more profit are you going to ask for this time? Lao Chi chuckled. I just like dealing with smart zombies like Hongyu. Holding out a finger, Lao Chi told the price of the zombie army in Area 77. 10%. Before Hongyu had time to speak, Bai Wuhua cursed first, what? 10%. Why the hell don't you go grab it? Don't discuss it with us, just kill us all and then you can grab it. Lao Chi shrugged. It seems that they have already settled on this price. He was not even afraid that Hongyu and other zombies were going to run away. After all, Hongyu and the others can't escape. The overall combat strength of Area 77 is far higher than that of Area 65. If they really turn against District 77, Hongyu and other zombies will die. Although District 77 will lose the meat of the high-level corpse crystal mine, they will also get a hefty price tag from the 4 major districts. Hongyu frowned. She knew the seriousness of this matter. After thinking for a moment, he finally stood up and said, okay. We'll give you 10%. The zombies are under the eaves, so they have to bow their heads. But, Lao Chi, I have said ugly words in my head. If you increase prices again, we will not be so good-tempered. After all, you know my strength. Even if I can't defeat you, if I really fight hard, I can still tear a piece of flesh from you. Lao Chi also stood up with a smile, and held Hongyu's right hand in each other's hands. Do not worry. This time is also the last time. The 2 hands quickly grasped each other and separated quickly. Lao Chi smiled and reminded, the instruments and equipment are ready. You can inform me directly when we set off. The transport team and I are waiting for you at the stairway of life. Finished. Lao Chi also left. However, not long after leaving, Bai Wuhua's anger could no longer be suppressed. Sister Hong, they in Area 77 are simply bullying zombies. Is it such an excessive request? If you add 10%, we will almost give him 40%. They just made it clear that they couldn't grab it. Hongyu pressed her hands and sighed. Okay, old Bai. There's nothing we can do. After all, Area 65's wanted people are there. If you add in the high bounties offered by the 4 major districts, I'm afraid that without District 77, we would really have no life to enjoy. Bai Wuhua wanted to say something else, but in the end all his words turned into a sigh. Shen Qing, on the other hand, remained silent from beginning to end. Somehow, in Shen Qing's eyes, he just discovered that Lao Chi's eyes were evasive and unnoticeable. It was as if he had done something wrong. However, this matter was just speculation. Shen Qing did not mention it and just thought that he had made a mistake. It's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The ladder of life. Zombies such as Hongyu and Shen Qing met here again with the transportation team led by Lao Chi. Hongyu waved her hand. Okay, let's set off. Lao Chi smiled and shouted to the transport team behind him, all zombies, let's go. The words fell. Hongyu suddenly approached and whispered in Lao Chi's ear, Lao Chi. We have agreed to our previous requests, so you have to agree to one of our requests. Lao Chi was confused. What's the request? Tell me. Hongyu. After the instruments and equipment are in place, I hope the zombies in Area 77 will not participate in the excavation. Lao Chi thought about it and finally nodded. Okay, it's up to you. However, if you don't participate, you won't participate. For the preliminary production survey of the high-level zombie crystal veins, our zombies will have to come. After all, without preliminary production survey, we don't have a bottom line, right? Hongyu nodded. A group of zombies left Area 77 in a mighty manner. Only, the team left not long ago. Above the zombie army loft in Area 77, Huang Mo looked at the scene with a smile. Hee, Hongyu, Shen Qing, Bai Wuhua. These zombies are indeed our cash cow in District 77. This time, I want the high-level quartz crystal mine, the bounty from the 4 major regions. I want it too. Outside the canyon, Lao Chi couldn't help but sigh. Awesome. The uncanny workmanship of nature has created the seclusion of this area. That means you are lucky, otherwise this area may not be discovered by zombies for another 100 years. As he said this, Lao Chi also made a thumbs-up gesture towards Hongyu. Because of the 10% profit concession, Hongyu looked unhappy and did not respond. Lao Chi didn't care at all. He smiled and observed the surrounding terrain while hurriedly said, Hongyu, how long will it take? Hongyu. Soon. After a while. Go through the fork in the road. Come to the high-level quartz crystal vein. Lao Chi waved to a zombie responsible for exploration next to him. Xiao Fang, please do a preliminary survey of the production volume and record the data. A zombie named Xiao Fang walked into the cave in a hurry. About 10 minutes later, I saw Xiao Fang running out with a shocked face and trembling hands. Brother Chi-Chi, this mine. Xiao Fang was trembling a little as he spoke, as if he was very frightened. This made Lao Chi feel a little unhappy. If you have anything to do, just talk to me. What does it look like to be so frizzy? With a bang, Xiao Fang swallowed and calmed down for a while before continuing. The survey is complete. Preliminary calculations show that this vein is indeed a high-level quartz crystal vein, but the output is the apex-level output. Lao Chi, who looked calm 1 second, could no longer hold his expression the next second. He snatched the survey data from Xiaofang's hand, and his expression became more and more exciting as he looked at it. Lao Chi, my dear mother, apex level is actually the output of apex level. I'm afraid, if nothing unexpected happens, this mine will be able to produce nearly 10 million pieces of high-level quartz crystals. The normal price of a piece of high-level quartz crystal is 100, and 1,000 yuan is enough. 1 billion. Lao Chi's words faltered, clearly feeling that he had lost his composure. Immediately, he pretended to be calm and returned the information to Xiao Fang, and at the same time ordered, give this information to Commander Huang. You can go now. The words fell. Lao Chi kept making calculations in his heart. Including the previous profit sharing, now we in District 77 can get a total of 44% profit sharing from this high-level quartz crystal mine. Closing square bracket. In other words, for a quartz crystal worth 1 billion, we can get 440 million. Closing square bracket. Yes, the profits from this high-level quartz crystal mine are simply terrifying. Closing square bracket. Thinking in mind, Lao Chi's eyes looked at Hongyu and other zombies with some complicated eyes. Finally you inside. Red moon, red moon. Closing square bracket. I hope you don't blame me. This matter was purely decided by Lao Huang. Closing square bracket. Bai Wuhua and other zombies naturally heard Lao Chi's exclamation just now. At this time, their hearts were filled with turmoil. Bai Wuhua said excitedly, "Oh my god, it's worth 1 billion. Sister Hong, we are prosperous, we are completely prosperous this time." Even though Gao Xiaoxiao deliberately suppressed his excitement, the smile on his face could not be stretched. After all, for these people, they should have stayed in the underground city for the rest of their lives, living a hungry, grassroots life as zombies. I would never dare to dream about how much 1 billion is. Hongyu is the calmest. After all, he already knew the value of high-level quartz crystal, and she also did a preliminary production survey last night. The end result was pretty much what we have today. Only, every time she thinks about 440 million of the 1 billion to be given to District 77, Hongyu's heart feels like it's bleeding. Oh, I can't help it. The only thing to blame is that we are not strong enough. With a whisper, Hongyu came to Lao Chi. Lao Chi, the preliminary survey is over, and we will start normal operations next. Your zombies can go back. Lao Chi didn't have any ink. After the transportation team unloaded the equipment and instruments, he waved his hand directly, "The transportation team, go home." Ever since, the mighty team came and left just as quickly. Until 10 minutes later, in the entire high-level quartz crystal mine, only Shen Qing and other zombies are left. Bai Wuhua couldn't help shouting any longer, "Awesome! Old Bai, I will be a rich man from now on. I want to enjoy the extravagant life." Gao Xiaoxiao glanced at him angrily, "TCH. Are you still living it up? Now that we are wanted all over the world, are you going to indulge in one fact? You will be caught in front of you." Hearing this, Bai Wuhua shrank his neck, as if he had thought of the consequences. Lao Mu, like Shen Qing, has always been silent. I don't know what's going on in his head. Soon, Hongyu arranged for Lao Bai and Lao Mu to arrange the instruments and equipment. Shen Qing didn't have much to do, so she just told Hongyu and slipped out. It wasn't until he came to the 10-way intersection that his calm expression showed any change. Looking into the distance, although the transport team and Lao Chi were no longer visible. But Shen Qing still felt uneasy in her heart. To prevent accidents, we should take some defensive measures. Say something to yourself. A layer of colorful energy light suddenly appeared on Shen Qing's body, and at the same time, his eyes turned scarlet. The force under his feet exploded, following the surrounding rock walls all the way up. Soon, he reached the top of the rock wall. Looking into the distance, you can still see various ditches extending in all directions. But only the high-level quartz crystal mine is a dead end. Standing on the cliff, looking down, Shen Qing raised her right hand. Creation primary fissioner. Kaka. Mechanical sounds came out. A primary fissioner suddenly appeared on one side of the canyon cliff. Shen Qing tried to issue an order. The order is issued, guard the entrance. If you find a zombie army other than Hongyu, Bai Wuhua, Mu Bangtu, Gao Xiaoxiao and me, directly activate the strangulation mode. The fissioner's mechanized voice came out. Command acquisition. Instructions conveyed. Command setting successful. The enemy target enters the self-locking stage. Sure enough, Shen Qing felt happy. Originally he just wanted to give it a try, but he didn't expect that the fissioner could really obey his orders. In this way, if the zombie army in Area 77 really brews an opportunity that is harmful to them, then Shen Qing can be considered to have the means to initially resist. Certainly, it's much more than that. Shen Qing's figure accelerated. Within a few breaths, we arrived at the corresponding cliff. Same as before, create primary fissioners and give orders. For safety reasons, Shen Qing even created 4 primary fissioners in a row. If it weren't for the dizziness in his brain, Shen Xiao might have planned to place a fissioner ready to go on the cliff above all the forks. By the time, if District 77 really dares to do anything, as long as they enter the 10-way intersection, all fissioners will attack at the same time. By then, even if the other party is Heavenly King, I will definitely die. Look at your own masterpiece. 4 primary fissioners at the ready. Shen Qing smiled and lay down directly on the yellow soil, taking a few deep breaths. Let's do this for today, wait until tomorrow, and continue to create. HMPH, if Area 77 really dares to do something stupid. When the time comes, blow them into a hornet's nest. Area 77. In the office of the zombie army commander. When Lao Chi came back, it was already dark. The office is filled with smoke. Huang Mo was smoking a cigarette while happily looking at the survey report in his hand. Not bad. The high-level zombie crystal veins are worth at least 1 billion. Lao Chi, this time our District 77 may be able to use this income to join the ranks of the first-class zombie army. Lao Chi was also smoking, but his brows were furrowed. Old Huang. Tell me, will things go smoothly? I always feel that Hongyu and the others are a little too calm. They are so calm, as if they already knew about this. Hear the words. Huang Mo waved his hand indifferently. So what if you know? I have already informed the commanders of Area 1, Area 3, Area 5 and Area 16. In 5 days at most, they will personally lead the zombie army to Area 77. I have described in detail about the high-level quartz crystal veins. They have no objection to it. The veins are near our Area 77. Even if they want to share the profits, it would be troublesome. Therefore, the entire high-level quartz crystal vein belongs to us. Certainly. Huang Mo's words suddenly stopped, then he narrowed his eyes and said sweetly, of course, they don't know the output of this high-level quartz crystal vein. Lao Chi nodded, his expression still showing a hint of worry. I hope so. What they did in Area 77 this time can no longer be called burning bridges, it can only be said that it went even further. But, Hongyu and other zombies are wanted in 197 dungeons around the world, so it is normal to plot against them. To blame, just blame them for what they did in Area 65. A flash. 3 days passed peacefully. At this time, the fork in the canyon. On the cliff, Shen Qing was lying on the loess, his chest heaving and his body a little weak. 10 forks. There are 12 cliffs in total. Now, on every cliff, there is a primary fissioner lurking. 12 primary fissioners. In this battle, even if they were thrown into the zombie army in District 77, they would probably be able to easily slaughter all the zombie army in District 77. After doing all this, Shen Qing looked at his masterpiece of the past 3 days with satisfaction. He was very satisfied with this. What if you have to tell me something regrettable? I'm afraid it's only the fissioner level. Because Shen Qing has seen primary fissioners before, his understanding of middle-level fissioners is equivalent to nothing. Create things out of thin air that you don't understand. The answer is absolutely impossible. But, even so, 12 primary fissioners are enough to defend their high-level quartz crystal mine. After some rest, Shen Qing stood up and planned to go back. However, at this time, on the loess in the distance, a huge thing stood on the bare open space. Narrowing his eyes slightly, he felt suddenly frightened. Just because he saw the figure of a zombie on the shoulder of the giant thing. The behemoth didn't react, and the zombie on its shoulders was motionless, watching Shen Qing quietly. Analyzing it from an angle, the other party may have already taken note of these 12 primary fissioners. Shen Qing secretly said, from District 77, closing square bracket. No, looking at the overall appearance of that behemoth, it should also belong to the fissioner. Closing square bracket. Could it be New Humanity? Closing square bracket. A bold guess came to mind, and Shen Qing immediately took a defensive posture, with the 12 primary fissioners around him ready to attack. Even the mastiffs turned into Beast King, a mutant zombie nearly 10 meters in size, with fierce beast eyes staring into the distance warily. Soon. It only took Shen Qing the blink of an eye. The huge thing that was still standing in the open space disappeared out of thin air without any warning. The zombie was also missing. Shen Qing was surprised. What happened? Closing square bracket. Working with the mastiff, they approached cautiously, but still couldn't find any zombies or fissioners. It is clear. The other party has left. If it weren't for the 2 huge footprints of the fissioners left on the ground, Shenqing might have wondered if he was dazzled just now. It seems that the new humans have set their sights on me. It's better to go back and talk to Sister Hong about this matter. High-level corpse crystal vein. 3 days. All kinds of equipment and instruments have been arranged and are in normal operation. Tonight, the first batch of high-level corpse crystals may be available. Whether it was Bai Wuhua, Gao Xiaoxiao, or even Hongyu, they all had smiles of anticipation and excitement on their faces. Shenqing hurried back, walked to Hongyu and nodded in a low voice, "Sister Hong, I just met a new human being." As soon as these words came out, Hongyu's expression changed. She grabbed Shenqing and walked out of the cave. It didn't take long. The 2 zombies walked out of the cave. Hongyu said with a serious expression, "Tell me, what's going on? Also, you and the other party didn't fight, right?" Shenqing shook his head. "There was no fight, the other party seemed to just stare at me. I think they have the same purpose as the group of people who wanted to abduct me before." Hongyu smacked her lips. "Tisk, these new humans are really persistent. In this way, Shenqing, don't act alone these days. Either go back to the dungeon in Area 77 directly, or follow me all the time." Before she finished speaking, Hongyu shook her head again. "No. Our strength is too different from that of the new humans, and it is not safe to follow us." Her beautiful eyebrows were slightly frowned, and Hongyu's face was filled with embarrassment. She didn't trust Area 77, but their zombies weren't strong enough. Now, Shenqing has been targeted by the new humans. For a moment, Hongyu couldn't think of a perfect solution. However, at this moment, Hongyu seemed to have recalled something, and suddenly asked Shenqing, "Shenqing, that male zombie you mentioned before. If you are alone, are you sure the other person will show up?" Shenqing was stunned for a moment, with a somewhat embarrassed look on his face. Because the fact that male zombies would take the initiative to look for him was purely an excuse for Shenqing. It was just made up, so how could a male zombie really show up to help him? In order not to make Hongyu suspicious, Shenqing nodded. "Not sure, maybe it will happen, but maybe it won't happen. After all, they are not staring at me 24 hours a day, right?" Hongyu nodded. "That's right. Then give it a try in the next few days. If the male zombie appears, then you can tell him about the current situation. No matter what the other party's purpose is, at least now he is more trustworthy than District 77. Why doesn't Hongyu trust Area 77? The reason is that Hongyu has been feeling very uneasy during the recent period. Somehow, he always felt that the zombie army in Area 77 was planning something detrimental to them. As for what, Hongyu couldn't explain it. She could only say that this might be the 6th sense of female zombies. Hongyu's 6th sense is often very accurate. Shenqing left alone first. But he didn't go far, as long as he was given a chance to be alone. Even if you knew that the male zombie wouldn't appear, you still had to do what you should do. However, when Shenqing came to the cliff at the 10-way intersection again, just climbed up, a tall figure was already standing in front of him. The distance was so close, as if the other party had already known that he would come up from here. Shenqing was shocked and didn't have time to react. The deep voice came from above the head. "Don't worry, I will take care of it with the new humans." On the cliff, the night wind is very cool. Although zombies are not sensitive to temperature. But Shenqing could still feel the coldness on her skin. Staring at the zombies in front of him warily. It is indeed him. Closing square bracket. Shenqing was shocked. The zombie that appeared in front of him was the male zombie who had killed the new human being Chi-Chi. Although there was no mask covering it, the face that should have been visible clearly was always blurry. Shenqing swallowed hard and asked carefully, "Who are you? What's the reason for helping me?" Shenqing knows very well the saying of human beings, being courteous for nothing is either a traitor or a thief. The opponent is powerful, at least of apex level bloodline, and the bloodline awakening value is absolutely terrifying. This kind of zombie would help Shenqing without any purpose. Do not make jokes. He Shenqing is not the other party's long-lost son. However, the male zombie smiled calmly, with a hint of kindness in his laughter. "It's good to be vigilant. However, Shen Qing, when dealing with zombies who don't know you're enemies or friends, you need to be vigilant and at the same time show awe. Otherwise, if the other party wants to kill you, it only takes a snap of their fingers. Said. A terrifying murderous intention burst out from the corpse of the male corpse. Moreover, this murderous intention was not scattered in all directions, but was precisely aimed at Shen Qing himself. The terrifying pressure and the sense of danger that death seemed to be suspended above his head. Make Shen want to faint. Powerful. Too strong. Closing square bracket. This kind of zombie, even He Junwang from Area 65, is nothing in front of him. Closing square bracket. The murderous intention was there, and it dissipated after a while. The male zombie smiled again, still with a hint of anomaly kindness in his voice. Shen Qing, are you responsible for all these guys? Have you joined the new humans? The male zombie was obviously referring to the primary fissioner. Shen Qing's heart tightened once again. This time he learned the lesson and shook his head desperately at the male zombie. No, no. These fissioners are me. But what I wanted to explain came to this point, but I didn't know how to say it. Tell the other person, I created these fissioners. Stop making trouble. Do you think the other person is a 3-year-old child? If they didn't change themselves, where could these fissioners come from? It seems that except for the new humans who have this kind of method, no zombies have it. Shen Qing secretly said. No wonder he suspected that I had joined the new human race. Closing square bracket. 12 fissioners, even new humans would be surprised to see this battle, right? Closing square bracket. The male zombie was not in a hurry, and his eyes that could not be seen clearly seemed to have been staring at Shen Qing. Shen Qing's back felt a little hairy. Well, do you believe me when I say that I created this fissioner? After much hesitation, Shen Xiao finally decided to say so. After all, this reason is better than joining a new human being than changing yourself. Hearing this, the male zombie nodded. The inherent talent of bloodline, creation. Shen Qing, you. Just one sentence, but Shen Qing was shocked beyond words. How on earth did he know? Closing square bracket. Why does he know the name, creation, the inherent talent of the bloodline? Closing square bracket. The male zombie didn't give much explanation. He just reached out and gently rubbed Shen Qing's head under Shen Qing's shocked gaze. Subsequently, use this ability well, it is a labor of love, and it is also a labor of love. A very puzzling sentence. Shen Qing couldn't figure out what this powerful zombie wanted to express. But the other party seemed not to want to say more. After saying the next sentence, he disappeared without a trace. If there is danger, I will rescue you. Looking at the empty front, there was not even a single footprint left on the soft loess. It was as if the male zombie never appeared from the beginning to the end. But those confusing words still lingered in Shen Qing's mind. Is it a labor of love? Is it also a labor of love? Whose love? Whose hard work? Why does this love and hard work appear in my body? Shen Qing has one head and two heads. However, a thunder exploded in his mind, and a guess that nearly suffocated him emerged without warning. Could it be that he is talking about my parents? Closing square bracket. The meaning of a piece of hard work, that is to say, the inherent talent and creation of blood, was they given to me in some way. Closing square bracket. A love, that is to say, they use the inherent talent and creation of their blood to express their love for me. Closing square bracket. As soon as this idea came up, Shen Qing himself almost laughed. She chuckled twice, shook her head, and said to herself, what am I thinking about? The inherent talent of bloodline, creation, can this thing really be given to a zombie in some way? Stop it, although he has already denied this speculation. But Shen Qing still harbors a glimmer of hope in her heart. That is, the male zombie that appeared just now may be related to the sudden disappearance of his parents 3 years ago. Far away, the male zombie was leaning against a big tree quietly, his deep eyes seeming to be able to observe Shen Qing with a complicated expression across wireless distances. There is a little girl standing next to the male zombie. The girl is less than 1 meter tall and looks milky. But the tone of his words seemed extremely sophisticated. Mio, I thought you would recognize father and son directly, and then hug and cry bitterly. Tisk tisk, but you just want to watch it for me. I have all the video recordings ready. Codename Mio. Please wait, now is not the time. The child seemed to have thought of something and asked, "That's right, Mio. Regarding your son's creation of a fissioner out of thin air, do you understand what happened? Then the boy won't really join the new human race, right?" It can be understood from the child's words that during this period of time, Shenqing's every move seems to be under his watch. Codename Mio shook his head and replied, "I don't know. Let's take it one step at a time. If he really joins the new human race, then..." The voice paused, and Mio's eyes gradually turned murderous. "When the time comes, I don't mind massacring the entire new human race." Hiss, the child took a breath of air and gave a thumbs up to the codename Mio, "Awesome, crazy child protector." At the same time, the camp of the new humanity. In a special building, a male zombie with eyes as big as beans was kneeling on one knee in the main hall. "Boss, these are the details I have seen." Deep in the darkness, there was silence. The old voice disappeared, and after a while another young voice was heard. "You said yes, Shenqing has 12 primary fissioners around him. And you don't know where they came from. Little Eyes, you can eat this food randomly, but you can't talk nonsense. There are 12 primary fissioners. The number of primary fissioners we can control now is probably only 13 or 4. Tell me, Shenqing can produce 12 in his own hand." Little Eyes knelt on one knee in the main hall. There was no surprise in his eyes at this matter, but on the contrary, his eyes were calm and made the zombies tremble. "Yes, new human boss. Then tell me, where do so many primary fissioners come from?" Little Eyes, "I don't know." New human boss, "When did it appear?" Little Eyes, "I don't know." New human boss, "You don't know anything, so how can you make me believe this? After all, it sounds too nonsense." However, Little Eyes only replied with one sentence, which immediately silenced the boss of the new human race. I saw that the Little Eyes raised their heads slightly, and there was a serious look in the Little Eyes. This is a fact, because that's what I saw with my own eyes. Small Eyes. The reason why this zombie can get such a title. It was not a nickname given to him because of his small eyes. Rather, feature. It is also a characteristic of his bloodline. Abnormal pupil power. Good. His little eyes have supervision, and anything within a distance of 10,000 meters can be captured by his little eyes. Therefore, among the new humans, Little Eyes is the zombie that the boss values the most. There was a moment of silence. In the darkness, the childish voice came out again. "Okay, keep watching and catch Shenqing if you have the chance." Yes, Little Eyes stood up and left the hall. Not long after he left, a figure walked in from outside the hall door. "Boss, I've almost recovered. Can you let me out now?" Chi-Chi walked in aggrievedly and said, "I'm almost suffocated here." "Boss, just wait, there will be results from Lao Long soon. Tell Shadow and the others that it's best to stay calm these days. There is going to be a big change in the zombie army. We are fully prepared and we will cooperate internally and externally when the time comes." After finishing speaking, the young voice seemed to be sighing and said, "The world of zombies. It seems it's time to change. Whether it's humans, zombies, or our new humans. In this world, there will always be only survival of the fittest." High-level quartz crystal vein. Today's first batch of high-level quartz crystal ore has been produced. According to preliminary calculations by Gao Xiaoxiao and Lao Mu, the quantity produced this time is at least over 10,000 yuan. This means that, excluding what must be given to District 77 from today's harvest, they can get 560,000. Bai Wuhua's smile is like a blooming flower, so brilliant. Haha, Lao Mu, Xiaoxiao, we are really going to be prosperous this time. No, regardless of whether he is dangerous or not, I must go to Zanzui Lantern Riddles. Gao Xiaoxiao glanced at Bai Wuhua angrily, smacking his lips with disgust. "Old Bai, take a good look at your fat body. Is that female zombie willing to let you live a happy life? In my opinion, you should just keep fat." Lao Mu nodded. "Yes." Bai Wuhua gritted his teeth. You are bullying others." At this time, neither Shenqing nor Hong Yu is here. The two zombies were standing far outside the cave. Hong Yu looked serious and asked, "How is it? Has he shown up?" Shenqing nodded, with a very complicated expression. "It showed up. Moreover, he promised me that he would help me if I was in danger." Hearing this result, Hongyu's heart that had been hanging around was relieved, and her mouth was full of fragrance. Huh. Okay, this is best. Although we don't know what the other party's purpose is, at least he will not be our enemy in a short period of time. As the saying goes, you are either an enemy or a friend. If you have time, spend more time with him and try to understand his purpose. I'll be as satisfied as I can be. Such a master-level zombie usually won't help easily. So, there should be something on our side that he values. Shen Qing nodded. Yes. Even if Hongyu didn't tell her, Shen Qing still had this plan. After all, the other party is a guy who can speak frankly about the inherent talents and creations of the bloodline. Such zombies may really be related to the disappearance of his parents. It would also be helpful for Shen Qing to find out more about his parents in the future. The matter has come to an end for now. Hongyu's beautiful eyes narrowed slightly, looking at Shen Xiao and feeling the zombie energy surging in his body. After thinking for a moment, he said, Shen Qing. Since your bloodline awakening value reached 20%, you haven't improved it for a while, right? In this way, in terms of combat effectiveness, you are no better than Lao Bai and the others, and you are protected by a mastiff. There are a lot of zombies here in the canyon. During the recent period, you can try to increase your awakening value. Hear the words. Shen Qing nodded, and the doubts that had always existed in her heart finally got the chance to ask, by the way, Sister Hong, I have a doubt. Hongyu. What? Shen Qing. That's right, I met Tang Ling in Area 65 last time. And noticed that she was able to strengthen her entire body and use it against other zombies. What do you think of this matter? Hongyu frowned slightly, holding her chin and thinking for a long time before replying. Do you remember what I told you before about the development of all bloodline characteristics? Bloodline characteristics don't have only one way to use them. There are many directions for developing bloodline characteristics. What I told you about Tang Ling's situation is not impossible. I think there should be a zombie in the zombie army in Area 65 who has very strong theoretical knowledge and gave him some pointers. That zombie is probably Lu Hong. After all, that guy has a lot of experience. With that said, Hongyu took Shen Qing's hand and walked towards the 10-way intersection. As he walked, he continued, what Tang Ling can do, you can naturally do too. But I don't recommend that you develop in this direction, because you are very powerful and have more than one bloodline characteristic. With proper use, the combination of multiple bloodline characteristic effects can complement each other and achieve twice the result with half the effort. Although I don't know how you managed to create such abnormal calmness in my body before. But after my observation and research these days, I found that while turning on abnormal calmness, if I use abnormal rage, the increase value within my rational range can be increased up to 136%. The growth index has increased by a full 33%. It can be seen that the combination of multiple bloodline characteristics can indeed produce unexpected effects. As for you, you have more bloodline characteristics, and the main development direction is best to explore in this direction. Speaking of which, the two zombies, Hongyu and Shen Qing, have also reached the 10-way intersection. These words were deeply engraved in Shen Qing's mind, and she had begun to think about them. The red moon suddenly stopped. He looked at Shen Qing very seriously and said, Shen Qing, tell me the truth, how many bloodline characteristics you have now? This is the first time Hongyu has been so serious, and Shen Qing does not dare to lie. Sister Hong, I trust you, so I won't hide it from you. Now I have a total of 3 bloodline characteristics: abnormal rage, abnormal calmness, and extreme body strengthening. Hear the words. Hongyu nodded slightly, but just after nodding her head a few times, her whole body froze as if still. Those beautiful eyes widened even more. Some tremblingly pointed at Shen Qing and exclaimed, what did you say? Extreme body strengthening. Shen Qing nodded. Yes, you didn't ask me before, so I didn't explain it in detail. My overall body strengthening seems a little different. Its full name is extreme body strengthening. Hiss. Hongyu took a breath of air. Limit. These 2 words carry a lot of weight. Wang Meng before. It has the bloodline characteristic of extreme self-healing. That is to develop the self-healing ability of zombies to the limit. The ultimate whole body strengthening has the same meaning. It is to directly develop the bloodline characteristic of body strengthening, which is very abnormal in itself, to the limit. Hongyu shut up and was stunned for a long time. It was only when she suddenly came to her senses that she warned Shen Qing more seriously, "Shen Qing. You must remember, I don't care if you have other blood characteristics. Now, the bloodline characteristics developed in your core must be the ultimate body strengthening. Because, it will definitely change your destiny." Shen Qing was a little confused. Sister Hong's reaction is a bit too big, right? Closing square bracket. However, when Hongyu gave her explanation, all the confusion in Shen Qing's heart disappeared, replaced by shock and disbelief. "I saw." Hongyu put her hands on Shen Qing's shoulders and said, "Shen Qing. Your mother, Long Yu. Among her many bloodline characteristics, the most powerful one is the ultimate body strengthening. In the dark, it seems that a force is gradually bringing Shen Qing and her mother closer. This is how Shen Qing feels at this time. Perhaps it was because he learned that his mother also had extreme body enhancement. For a moment, Shen Qing felt that this blood characteristic was extremely warm, just like a mother's embrace. Nodding heavily, Shen Qing said seriously, "Okay. Sister Hong, I will develop extreme body strengthening as the core." It didn't take long. Hongyu went back. Shen Qing was left alone at the crossroads. Cold winds swept in from 10 different directions. Shen Qing, a zombie who is not sensitive to temperature, couldn't help but shudder. After Sister Hong's explanation, why do I always feel that the meaning of what the male zombie said before is more obvious? He said to himself. Shen Qing looked up at the sky. A sky full of stars is something you would never see in a dungeon. Although the bright moon could not shine into the canyon, it illuminated the rock walls silvery white. Shen Qing couldn't help but think of the previous scene of the male zombie. It is a labor of love and also a love. Closing square bracket. This sentence echoed in my ears and could not be dissipated for a long time. Shen Qing secretly said, could it be that the inherent talent and creation of blood was really left to me intentionally by my parents? Closing square bracket. Then why did they leave this and then disappear? Closing square bracket. Where did they go? Dead or alive? Closing square bracket. What does that male zombie have to do with them? Could that male zombie be my father? Closing square bracket. Shen Qing's head was full of questions. He even felt that if he saw the male zombie again, even 3 days and 3 nights would not be enough. However, just at this time, a clicking sound came from above the head without any warning. Shen Qing's complexion also changed suddenly. Just because he recognized the source of the sound, it was the sound of the primary Fissioner's actions that he created. What's going on? I was shocked. Instantly activate the ultimate body strengthening and abnormal rage. Shen Qing rushed to the cliff at extremely fast speed. The cliff is empty. Not to mention the male zombie, even the new human from before does not exist. Under the cover of the night, there was nothing on the surrounding ground, only the silver light rising from the loess. What's going on? Shen Qing was confused. But the next second, his pupils suddenly shrank, and a fact that the zombies couldn't believe gradually emerged in his mind. He looked around sharply. Shen Qing. No, look at the other side. No, where have you gone? Where are those 12 primary Fissioners? Good. The 12 Fissioners originally arranged by Shen Qing on the cliff were nowhere to be found. It was like disappearing out of thin air. A chill shot up from the soles of his feet to the sky. The size of the primary Fissioners is not small. In such a short period of time, all 12 primary Fissioners disappeared. I'm afraid the only guy who can do this is new humanity. Shen Qing himself didn't know how many times he was frightened. But this time, despite being frightened, he looked around carefully. The Mastiff also turned into a nearly 10-meter-long alien zombie beast king under the command. At the same time, the Mastiff's ultimate body enhancement was also activated, and he was obviously ready to fight if any unexpected surprises were encountered. But after careful observation for a long time, Shen Qing still couldn't find any zombies. For a time, the doubts in my heart became more intense. Haha, little guy, are you looking for me again? Right now. An old voice came from Anomaly. Shen, please go with the voice. Pupil dilation. At some point, on the cliff opposite Shen Qing, an old zombie wearing a black robe was standing there quietly. The cold wind blew his loose black robe, revealing that the other person's body was not skinny. Shen Qing asked coldly, where are those primary Fissioners? Old zombie. Haha, those things are too dangerous for a little guy like you to play with. I will help you put it away first, and then return it to you when you grow up. Shen Qing said angrily. You fart. With an angry shout, Shen Qing instantly turned into a stream of light under the moonlight, crossing the cliff and heading straight towards the old zombie. The old zombie took his time and still stood there, letting out a weird giggle. At the same time as Shen Qing rushed over, he raised his arm slightly. Then gently pat down. Shen Qing's entire body was like a kite with its string broken, falling downwards at a very fast speed. Just hear a bang. Smoke and dust were everywhere. Shen Qing spurted out a mouthful of blood, and almost all the bones in his body were broken. Looking to the sky in horror, on the cliff, there was an old zombie standing with hands behind his back. Although the distance was far away, Shen Qing could still see his eyes clearly. That's a pair, eyes as deep as the vast starry sky. Just one look at it gives the zombies a sense of fear. One strike, closing square bracket. Just one blow, closing square bracket. What's wrong with me recently? Why are all the zombies I encounter so powerful? Closing square bracket. Shen Qing clearly felt that this old zombie was even stronger than the previous male zombie. In fact, it is already stronger than Shen Qing's understanding of strength. Who are you? Shen Qing wanted to get up, but his bones were broken and he could not support his body at all. The old zombie chuckled. After saying the next sentence, he disappeared directly into the night sky. It doesn't matter who I am, what matters is thank you for being the primary fissioner. Ha ha ha, Shen Qing, my teeth are tight and the anger in my heart cannot be dissipated. The 12 primary fissioners that took so much effort and 3 days to complete were actually used as wedding dresses for others. I'm so unwilling, Shen Qing growled. The words just fell. Another voice came from above the head. At some point, the male zombie from before had crouched in front of Shen Qing's head. He lowered his head and looked straight at Shen Qing. Unwilling, just be content. If that guy really wants to kill you, he can kill you with just one breath. Shen Qing frowned. Didn't I say that if I was in danger, you would come out to help? Codename Mio chuckled. But I can't beat him, that guy is simply ridiculously strong. Besides, he didn't intend to kill you. Besides, am I here now? Shen Qing. Okay, you have a point, you win. Codename Mio laughed for a while before stopping. After he stopped laughing, he belatedly said to Shen Qing, Shen Qing, try to use the inherent talent and creation of blood to heal yourself. I finally found out that you, kid, have a good talent, but, codename Mio pointed at his head and continued, you're just too stupid. Remember, bloodline has inherent talent and creation, and its use depends on your imagination. As long as you dare to think, as long as it's reasonable. In this world, the man stood up. The smile on his face had long since disappeared, replaced by caution. There is nothing in this world that you cannot create. Including extinct humans, humanity. Shen Qing looked at codename Mio in shock. Creation, zombie Shen Qing, body recovery. Silently use creation. The body's self-healing speed has almost reached a limit. All the broken bones completely healed themselves in just a few breaths. The body that was originally not strong enough to support was able to sit up easily. Codename Mio nodded with satisfaction. The inherent talent of bloodline, creation, is a very magical thing, and you need to develop it more in the future. Shen Qing remained silent, his eyes staring at the male zombie in front of him from beginning to end. The silence lasted for a moment. Shen Qing then plucked up the courage to ask, can you tell me your name? Codename Mio. Can't. Shen Qing. Why help me? Codename Mio. Because I want to. Shen Qing. Do you know about my parents? Codename Mio. I don't know. Shen Qing. Are you my father? This time, the body codenamed Mio clearly showed a trace of stagnation, but it was only for a moment. It's not enough for Shen Qing to notice. Codename Mio continued. Can I think that you are recognizing me? Haha, it seems that I need to take back what I just said about your bad mind. You kid, seeing that I am strong, do you want to lean against a big tree to enjoy the shade? Are you thinking about shit? Although the words were unpleasant, it was obvious that there was a touch of gentleness in codename Mio's tone. Shen Qing slumped down and sighed. Okay, I understand. Codename Mio stood up, patted Shen Qing's head and said, explore your creation well. It can help you far more than I can. Okay, it's getting late, I'll retreat first. The words fell. The codename Mio almost disappeared out of thin air. Just like before, not even 2 footprints were left where he was. Looking at the deserted 10-way intersection, Shenqing suddenly thought of something very important and shouted into the air, "By the way, the old man who attacked me just now, do you know who he is?" Although there were no traces of zombies around, the familiar voice was still rising slowly. The second in command of the new humans. The current commander of the zombie army in District 1. Long Qianyang. Shenqing. What? Cloud. Top of the cloud, Long Qianyang. Silly. At this moment, Shenqing was completely stupid. The old zombie that attacked him just now turned out to be the most praised among the 197 dungeons in the world, and the most powerful among the zombie army. Long Qianyang. This. All 3 perspectives have been refreshed. Apart from being in disbelief, Shenqing had to think again. Long Qianyang wants status, and wealth. Closing square bracket. What reason does he have to join the new human race? Closing square bracket. Shenqing just took this matter to heart and did not take it too seriously. After all, he himself didn't trust male zombies. The other party didn't even dare to say his name. It was obvious that he had some dirty secret. Shenqing's idea. If the code name Mio were to be known, I'm afraid Shenqing would be whipped until she cried with a belt. Are you kidding me? Do you and I have some shameful deeds? Closing square bracket. If your mother finds out, I'm afraid it will hurt me. Closing square bracket. Late at night, inside the new human camp, the childish voice said in surprise, "Hey, old Long, are you finally back? Have you heard? That guy Shenqing actually created 12 primary fissioners. Little eyes see it with their own eyes." Long Qianyang took off the black hood on his head, walked up to the boss of the new human race, and pretended to be surprised. "Oh. A junior bloodline zombie actually has 12 junior fissioners. Is there something wrong with his little eyes?" "Boss, haha, I think so too, but you also know that your little eyes will probably not be wrong. That means that Shenqing has other secrets. Old Long, I'll let my little eyes keep an eye on him. If you have time, can you help me test him?" Long Qianyang. Okay. The two were chatting, but Long Qianyang never mentioned that the 12 primary fissioners had already become his possession. This old guy is also brewing some secret plan for the new humans. After waiting for the 2 zombies to chat for a long time, the boss of the new human race put away his smile and said seriously, "Old dragon, I don't understand. How did Shenqing obtain those primary fissioners? Could it be that he also has the means for our new humans to control fissioners?" Long Qianyang chuckled. "It doesn't matter, I think this is better. The more aspects Shenqing can show related to the new humans, the more he can help us attract the attention of the zombie army. With this, our plan can proceed more smoothly." New human boss. Yes, this has also been taken into consideration. But I'm still a little worried. Shenqing is becoming more and more mysterious now, and he might have been helped by a zombie codenamed Mio before. I'm afraid our plan may have to be moved forward. Those zombies are by no means a fuel-saving lamp. Hearing this, Long Qianyang smiled easily. "No problem. As for the zombie army, I have trained a total of 10,000 dead soldiers in each major region. Whether it is a zombie army or a new human race, I am the only one they obey orders." The boss of the new human race looked delighted. "It has to be you. It seems like you are well prepared for such a big battle." "Then it depends on when the plan will be carried out." Long Qianyang. "Don't worry yet, some rats haven't shown up yet, but let's make a fishing plan first." High-level corpse crystal vein. Hongyu's face looked very ugly as she recounted what happened at night. Certainly, regarding the primary fissioner, Shenqing consciously ignored it. In other words, a powerful old zombie simply tortured him. Hongyu frowned and said with a confused face, "Shenqing, you mean to say that the male zombie is not his opponent?" Shenqing nodded. "Yes." Hongyu smacked her lips and bit her nails. "That male zombie told you that the old guy who attacked you was Long Qianyang of the top of the clouds." Shenqing looked at Hongyu a little surprised. "Sister Hong, do you believe this?" Bai Wuhua nodded in agreement. "Yes, Sister Hong, Commander Long is the supreme commander of the entire zombie army. What reason does he have to join the new human race? I think it's the male zombie who is stirring up trouble." Gao Xiaoxiao also responded with approval. Yes, Sister Hong. I also think that what the male zombie said is unbelievable. I think his purpose in dismissing Shen Qing from the very beginning was impure. Lao Mu remained silent, his head lowered in silence, as if he was thinking about something. Hong Yu waved her hand and said in denial, "You can't think of it that way. In my eyes, the more certain zombies reach their peak, the more deformed their pursuits will be. Haven't you heard a word? When a zombie's strength reaches a certain speed, it's not scary. The scary thing is, he reaches a height where he can no longer rise. At this point, his pursuit of power will definitely become deformed." The zombies were silent. However, at this moment, Lao Mu, who had not spoken for a long time, suddenly said, "Shen Qing, tell me the truth, what is the real purpose of the zombie that attacked you? I think you might be hiding something." All the zombies looked at Lao Mu at the same time. And Mu Langtu's deep eyes were staring at Shen Qing unblinkingly. The atmosphere seemed a little anomaly for a while. But none of the zombies present spoke. Just because they also captured something strange from Shen Qing's narration just now. A frighteningly powerful old zombie suddenly appeared and attacked Shen Qing, but did not kill him. Did you just walk away smiling after the attack? This unreasonableness is revealed everywhere. What is the other party's purpose? This is the vaguest part of the whole thing. Shen Qing was silent. I didn't know how to explain it for a while. Let him say that the other party's purpose is the 12 primary fissioners he created. Lao Mu noticed Shen Qing's troubled expression, but did not stop asking, "Shen Qing, we need the facts. You know everything about us, but you always have a layer of fog that we can't see through or analyze. This way, we can't help you even more." Lao Mu talked a lot today. It seemed that all the doubts that had been suppressed in the past few days were brought out. Shen Qing still hesitated, but in the end, facing 4 pairs of eyes staring at him, he gritted his teeth and said directly, "His goal is the 12 primary fissioners I conjured out of thin air." As soon as these words came out, Bai Wuhua was so shocked that he could put a goose egg in his mouth. What a big fool I am. Primary fissioners, 12 of them. Xiao Qingzi, why didn't you say that you conjured an intelligent core out of thin air? You can directly control all artificial intelligence. Obviously, Bai Wuhua didn't believe it. Gao Xiaoxiao also nodded in agreement. Yes, Shen Qing. Even a 3-year-old zombie wouldn't believe your reason. If you don't want to say it, forget it. There's no need to tease us like this, right? Make it look like we're stupid. Lao Mu and Hong Yu did not speak, their eyes were fixed on Shen Qing's eyes. It seems that he wants to see these things from Shen Qing's eyes. Moment. Lao Mu stood up and said only one sentence, "I understand." Then, he pulled Shen Qing up and walked out of the cave. Hong Yu wanted to follow, but Lao Mu waved her hand to stop her. "Sister Hong, can you give Shen Qing and I some time alone?" Hong Yu hesitated, but finally nodded. It didn't take long. Outside the cave, while no one believed what Shen Qing said just now, Mu Haodo believed it. Only the reason that Shen Qing can conjure things out of thin air can explain all the previous doubts. Mu Bengtu said seriously, "Shen Qing, did you transform the mining truck?" Shen Qing nodded. Yes. Although he was a little unhappy, after all, Lao Mu's attitude made Shen Qing feel strange. But Shen Qing also knew that the reason why Mu Lengtu didn't do this was not only for Shen Qing's safety. And Hong Yu and the others, every zombie is safe. Therefore, Shen Qing did not hide anything. And I thought, it's time to confess. Hear the words. Mu Bengtu asked again. Were you the one who conjured up the abnormal calmness, the abnormal rage, the mastiff, the primary fissioner in Area 65, and the abnormal calmness in Sister Hong's body? Shen Qing nodded. Yes. Click. The fire light came on, and Mu Bang lit a cigarette. Hiss. He hesitated a few times, but his brows never relaxed. I believe you. After finishing the sentence, Shen Qing wanted to say something, but Mu Bengtu interrupted him first. I saw him making arrangements with a serious look on his face. Shen Qing, listen to me first. I don't care what method you use, you can conjure those things out of thin air. But now, our situation is very troublesome and also very dangerous. Before Lao Qi left, I noticed something was wrong with his expression, I guess. District 77 is preparing to kill the donkey, and the time is very likely to be very recent. So, I want to ask you, can you still be transformed into a primary fissioner? If so, how many more can you transform into? I need your help, Hongyu, and the others also need your help. This is about our lives. Shen Qing was stunned. He had thought that when he confessed everything, even if Bai Wuhu accursed, he would slowly believe and accept it. Even if Gao Xiaoxiao said he didn't believe it, he wouldn't question it too much. At most, he would treat what Shen Qing confessed as a joke. Not to mention Red Moon. As long as he said it, Hongyu would make herself believe it even if she didn't believe it. But Shen Qing didn't expect that Mu Langtu, who was the least likely to trust him, was now the zombie who was easiest to trust him. Shen Qing asked in surprise, "Don't you doubt the authenticity of my words?" Mu Langtu chuckled, and the seriousness on his face gradually disappeared. He reached out and patted Shen Qing on the shoulder and said, "Doubtful. But more than suspicion, I think you regard us as companions. Combining all the previous doubts, I think and can be sure that more than 80% of what you just said is true." Honestly, Shen Qing was a little moved. The most heartwarming thing in the world is trust. After feeling that Mu Langtu, a zombie who was usually taciturn, now trusted him. Shen Qing also said directly without reservation, "Old Mu. I can create up to 4 primary fissioners a day. This is my limit." But, the words stopped. Lao Mu did not interrupt because he knew that Shen Qing already had his own plan. Shen Qing continued, "But I have a new plan. We can." After a while, Mu Bengtu looked shocked, but he had to give Shen Qing a thumbs up in admiration. "Ox, if it is true as you say, it can be achieved. Let alone Area 77, even if there is another Area 77, it will definitely be revealed in this canyon." Said, Lao Mu and Shen Qing have also reached the 10th intersection. Mu Langtu raised his head and observed the surrounding terrain, becoming more and more certain about the feasibility of Shen Qing's plan just now. Finally, he trusted directly, "Shen Qing. Don't tell Lao Bai and the others about this yet, with the exception of Sister Hong. The core of the entire plan is on your side, so you have been working hard recently." Shen Qing smiled. "It's not hard work, it's all about survival." Mu Langtu shook his head and sighed, "Alas. This time, if Area 77 targets us, I'm afraid there will be no room for us in the 197 underground cities around the world. So, the sales of high-level quartz crystal ore will also become difficult. What do you think about this?" This matter has also been a question that has puzzled Lao Mu for a long time. He didn't even mention it to Hongyu. Shen Qing thought for a moment and finally shook his head. "I am not sure as well. But I think that powerful male zombie might be able to help us. I'll try to contact him again later." Mu Lang nodded, patted Shen Qing on the shoulder, and showed a wry smile. "Shen Qing, recall that a month ago, you dared to join the Eastern Excavation Team, and you were just a junior bloodline zombie with no hair. Now, the survival of all our zombies depends on you." Mu Bengtu's voice suddenly stopped here. There was also a trace of hesitation and uncertainty on his face. Eventually, that trace of hesitation and uncertainty turned into a look of embarrassment. "Just listen to Lao Mu Dao. Shen Qing, can you help me create a bloodline characteristic that can be used for combat? I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more."